Chapter 181. Strange Guest Arrives. Exotic Treasure, Part 2. Madam speaks wisely. Lu Qing nodded in approval. Although Mrs. Wei wasn't knowledgeable in martial arts, to remain so clear-headed upon hearing such great news was truly worthy of the Wei family's matriarch. That mysterious group, having made such a big move, will definitely not leave so easily, he said. They are keeping the entire county under surveillance. If you return now, you will probably be walking right into the mouth of a tiger before even nearing the county, and this would only cause trouble for the family head and the others. Mother, what should we do then? Wei Ziyan had matured a lot recently and knew that his mother and the others had a clearer understanding of the situation. So he didn't stubbornly insist on returning. Wait, Mrs. Wei said firmly. Since nothing is amiss at the manor, that's already excellent news. We should, even more so, not cause any trouble for your father and ensure our own safety by staying peacefully in this forest. I refuse to believe that those people will stay in Song County forever. When they leave, that will be our time to return home. Perfectly, aren't you also cultivating the stick technique taught to you by the young master? Use this time to diligently practice, and once you master it completely, you'll give your father a huge surprise when we get back, and he'll see you in a new light. Hearing his mother's words, Wei Ziyan immediately felt a surge of blood boil within him. He really wanted his father's approval. Without delay, he loudly declared, "Don't worry, mother. I will train seriously. No, I will start cultivating right now." Watching Wei Ziyan, fired up by his mother's words with a newfound zeal for cultivation, Lu Qing and Ma Gu couldn't help but smile. The hearts of the youth are indeed easily swayed. Lu Qing had originally planned to escort Mrs. Wei and the others back to the manor after some time. However, the next day, the arrival of an unexpected visitor completely disrupted his plans. Returning from the mountains, Lu Qing went to the half-mountain small courtyard early the next morning, as usual, with Little Yen and Little Li. Little Yen went to learn her morning lessons from her master, while Lu Qing helped dry herbs in the courtyard. Suddenly, a gentle voice came from outside the courtyard. "Excuse me, is anyone home? Someone is here. Are you looking for a doctor? Come in, please." Lu Qing, busy with the herbs, didn't look up and casually replied. Assuming it was just another villager seeking medical help early in the morning, an often occurrence, he thought nothing of it. However, he quickly sensed something was amiss, for the person's first words upon entering were full of praise. The plum blossoms nourished by the heaven and earth primordial qi must make exceptional tea. May I ask for a cup to taste? Lu Qing's body jolted, and he abruptly looked up at the visitor. He saw a plainly dressed, ordinary-looking, cloth-clothed youth standing at the courtyard entrance, smiling at him. Seeing Lu Qing look over, the youth praised again. At such a young age, to have achieved perfect bones and muscles, truly worthy of being a disciple of an innate grandmaster. "Who are you?" Lu Qing asked. His heart was secretly shaking. Even without using his superpower, he couldn't see through the visitor's martial arts realm. There seemed to be a layer of fog around him, completely concealing his aura. At a glance, he seemed like just any ordinary young person. But Lu Qing knew this was definitely no ordinary person. Someone who could so easily expose the reason behind the blooming of the plum tree in the courtyard and see through his martial arts realm couldn't possibly be an ordinary person. More importantly, even Little Li hadn't noticed the visitor's approach in advance, which was extremely unusual. Lu Qing immediately activated his superpower and looked at the newcomer. Very soon, a rich red light mixed with a glimmer of golden light emerged from the youth. Lin Jirue, true disciple of Central State Tianji Tower, gentle and calm nature, wise and strategic. Cultivation. Completed the postnatal internal realm. Carries an exotic treasure that can conceal his own aura and fate, making him undetectable. Possesses various secret techniques, and with the help of the exotic treasure, can protect himself even against martial artists of the initial innate realm. It was him. Seeing the string of information appear in his vision, Lu Qing immediately knew who the visitor was. the same cloth-clothed youth who had appeared in the county and stopped the fight between Wang Tsangi and an ancestor of the Wei family, both of whom were in the innate realm. However, he hadn't expected the youth to be so formidable. Not being in the innate realm, yet possessing the strength not to fear those of the ordinary innate realm, was indeed incredible. No wonder Little Li hadn't detected the person in advance. It turned out he had an exotic treasure aiding him in concealing his aura. I am Jirue from Tianji Building, a disciple who has come specially to pay respects to the newly advanced innate realm elder, Chan Songqing, he declared. While Lu Qing was rapidly turning thoughts over in his mind, the cloth-clothed youth performed a respectful gesture. Even the name of his master was known. Lu Qing's heart was again greatly shocked. Besides himself and Little Yen, almost no one else knew his master's full name. Even the villagers only referred to him as Old Dr. Chan and were unaware of his full name. Unexpectedly, this cloth-clothed youth, whom he had never met before, was unmistakably clear about it. And furthermore, he knew that Master had been promoted to innate. Tianji Building indeed formidable. Lu Qing felt a tremor within, sensing the terror of these mysterious forces. He took a deep look at the cloth-clothed youth and then said, "Please wait a moment. I will go inform my master." Old Dr. Chan had already heard the noise outside. Seeing Lu Qing come in, he frowned and asked, "Ah, Qing, is the visitor the youth you mentioned yesterday?" "Yes, master. It's the same Mr. Jirue who claimed to be a disciple of Tianji Building, and moreover, he seems to know you've ascended to the innate realm." Lu Qing was quite puzzled about this. According to Xiao Tian, this Lin Jirue should have been in the county these days. The county was not near their location, a distance of more than 100 miles. Given such a remote distance and the subtle nature of Master's breakthrough event, how had he come to know of my Master's achievement of the innate realm? Old Dr. Chun was also unclear about the reason but was not panicked. Having spent his life in healing and aiding people, the elder doctor had never done anything remorseful. Upright and forthright, he feared no one. "From what you said yesterday, this person must be from the righteous path. I will go out and meet him." He told Little Yen to stay in the room and continue her studies while old Dr. Chun walked out with Lu Qing. The cloth-clothed youth, who had been waiting in the courtyard, was now under the plum tree, looking up to admire the full bloom. Hearing the sound, he turned his head and on seeing Lu Qing and the others come out, his gaze immediately fell on old Dr. Chun. At the same time, a strange energy emanated from his eyes. Then, rapidly, he bodily trembled, a respectful look appearing in his eyes, and he respectfully bowed to old Dr. Chun. "Junior from Tianji Building, Jirue, pays respects to Mr. Chun. You need not be overly courteous, young man. Please take a seat." Old Dr. Chun smiled. "I dare not, Mr. Chun, you sit first," the cloth-clothed youth hurriedly said. After exchanging pleasantries for a while, with the cloth-clothed youth insisting on letting old Dr. Chun sit first, old Dr. Chun eventually reluctantly acquiesced. As for Lu Qing, being a disciple, he stood by waiting for orders. "May I know why Mr. Jirue has come to visit us?" After sitting down, old Dr. Chun directly asked. "Mr. Chan, I have come here wishing to ask for a cup of plum tea from you." The cloth-clothed youth did not immediately reveal his purpose but took a roundabout way of speaking. "That's simple, Ah Qing. Go bring my tea equipment and also some of the plum tea we dried a few days ago," old Dr. Chan ordered. "Yes, master." Lu Qing went inside and soon brought out the tea equipment and flower tea, then got the fire burning vigorously. When the spring water boiled, old Dr. Chun placed some plum blossoms into the cup to brew, and a peculiar aroma immediately rose. It was also miraculous. The plum tree had bloomed on the day old Dr. Chun had stepped into the innate realm. After so much time, the plum blossoms had still not fallen completely, continuing to bloom. It amazed every visitor who came for treatment. Old Dr. Chun discovered that, nourished by the primordial qi during his breakthrough, the plum blossoms on this tree had also become very special. Not only were they incredibly fragrant, they also had effects of nourishing the yin and yang, promoting salivation, and quenching thirst. So, He had collected the fallen blossoms and dried them to make flower tea. Chapter 182 Holy Mountain Ban, Merit and Opportunities, Elder Doctor's Decision. Mr. Ji Rui, please. Lu Qing brought a cup of plum blossom tea to the cloth-clothed youth. Thank you. The cloth-clothed youth took the tea, gently sipped it, and his eyes instantly narrowed. He closed his eyes and quietly savored the taste for a while. When he opened his eyes again, they were full of admiration. Such excellent plum tea. It moistens the mouth and is wonderfully fragrant, truly worthy of being nourished by the heaven and earth primordial qi. If you like it, Mr. Ji Rui, feel free to take some back with you when you return. The elder doctor, also a tea aficionado, felt somewhat pleased to see the high praise for the plum blossom tea he had carefully prepared. Then I must thank Mr. Chun for his generosity, the cloth-clothed youth said joyfully. And so, Lu Qing went inside and packed up a small bundle of plum blossom tea. After finishing a cup of plum tea, the cloth-clothed youth put down the cup, and his face suddenly became serious. I think Mr. Chun must be very curious about how I came to know that you had made a breakthrough to the innate realm. Indeed, I am somewhat puzzled, the elder doctor admitted honestly. At the time of his breakthrough, he hadn't sensed anyone spying nearby, and after the breakthrough, he had never shown his innate realm abilities in front of others. He genuinely did not know how the cloth-clothed youth had come to learn about his breakthrough. Mr. Chun need not be concerned. It was purely by coincidence that I came to know about your breakthrough, not due to intentional prying. It's just that, at the time of the breakthrough, I was in the county, carrying an exotic treasure from my sect. I happened to sense the changes in the heaven and earth chi in this area, and from that, I knew that a postnatal martial arts grandmaster 100 miles away was comprehending the heaven and earth primordial chi, inducing the energy into the body and achieving innate. However, in these past days, the situation in the county has been somewhat tense, and I couldn't leave right away. That's why it has taken until today for me to visit Mr. Chun. The cloth-clothed youth explained. Besides not being able to leave, he was probably also investigating my master's background. Lu Qing thought to himself. But now he understood why the other party knew so much about his teacher. His teacher often traveled to and from the county, and even the county lord had met him. His identity and residence were no secret among the nobility in the city. With the cloth-clothed youth status, it would naturally not be difficult to investigate thoroughly. However, the exotic treasure carried by the cloth-clothed youth could sense the changes in the heaven and earth chi from 100 miles away, which was indeed a bit terrifying. No wonder. It's surprising that there exists such a miraculous exotic treasure in this world. I must truly be ignorant, the elder doctor exclaimed. This is the exotic treasure of our sect, known to but a few. Mr. Chun being a person of utmost virtue, concerned only with treating and saving people, it's normal that you haven't heard of it, the cloth-clothed youth said with a smile. What utmost virtue? I'm just a Jianghu traveling doctor. Treating and saving people is merely my duty. I really can't accept such high praise. The elder doctor quickly gestured with his hand. The cloth-clothed youth smiled, not arguing with the elder doctor. If a person endowed with the merit light can't be called a person of utmost virtue, then there would be no good people left in the world. To be honest, the cloth-clothed youth's heart was still somewhat shocked. That was the merit light, which generally only those who have done countless good deeds and accumulated immense merit could possibly condense. Although the merit light on the elder doctor was faint, the merit light was still the merit light, and not something easily condensed. Even in the few mysterious lands like the Suspended Temple, not many people possess such treasure light. It was unexpected for him to see it on a relatively unknown Jianghu traveling doctor. How many illnesses must he have treated? How many people must he have saved to have accumulated such an abundance of merit? Mr. Chen, in addition to coming for a cup of your plum tea, there is another matter I wish to discuss with you. Please speak candidly, the elder doctor indicated. Lu Qing's heart tensed, knowing that the real issue was about to be addressed. I wonder if Mr. Chun has heard of the name Holy Mountain? The cloth-clothed youth asked. This old man is of limited experience and has not heard of it. The elder doctor shook his head. Holy Mountain is a place of mystery and greatness, responsible for maintaining the order of this continent. Even the few mysterious lands such as the Suspended Temple, the Cold Water Palace, and Qingyang Temple all recognize its status. All the major families and sects in the world likewise hold it in awe. As the cloth-clothed youth narrated, the elder doctor and Lu Qing gradually came to a rough understanding of the so-called Holy Mountain. Holy Mountain was a very special force. Unlike the standard sect force, 1,000 years ago, it was elected jointly by several mysterious lands and many families and sects across the world to be the organization responsible for discussing and maintaining the order of this continent. Using Lu Qing's understanding, it was similar to the international body with the name United from his previous world. However, different from that body, which could only quibble over everything, Holy Mountain itself possessed formidable martial arts power. The power it wielded, apart from the other few mysterious lands, even the large sects couldn't compare. Holy Mountain held a superior status, never involving itself in the struggles between various forces. Even when wars broke out between nations, it would remain a spectator and not intervene. Holy Mountain's concern was generally for the order that could affect the grand scheme of the human race. For example, the order between innate realm individuals and ordinary martial artists, and even ordinary people. The innate realm was too powerful. Once a martial artist stepped into the innate, capable of refinement of heaven and earth primordial qi, their strength would increase rapidly. To the average postnatal martial artists, facing them would be almost no different from facing ordinary people. Chapter 183 The Holy Mountain Edict, Merit and Opportunities, the Elder Doctor's Decision _2. The combat style in the innate realm was no longer limited to simple punches and kicks or sword and saber clashes. Instead, a mere wave of the hand could produce sword chi and saber light that easily slaughtered dozens or hundreds of people. Powerful innate realm experts could even slaughter the entire population of a city in a short time. Such formidable power, if not restrained, could have unimaginable consequences. History had recorded more than one instance where innate realm martial artists, over some trifling argument or disagreement, had come to blows within a city. By the time they had settled their dispute, the small city had been nearly ruined, and countless lives had been lost. As such incidents became more frequent, the major families and sect forces realized that this could not be allowed to continue. Martial artists of the innate realm might stand high above others, but ordinary humans were also the foundation of the human race and should not be slaughtered so indiscriminately. Therefore, after much deliberation, the Holy Mountain issued a ban. It stated that innate realm martial artists must not arbitrarily attack humans below innate, nor stir up battles of innate level within the cities. Violators would be imprisoned in the Holy Mountain to reflect on their actions for minor offenses, and for severe ones, death without discussion. Mr. Chen, I know you have always disliked conflict, but as an innate realm martial artist now, this ban also applies to you, the cloth-clothed youth said. I've come to inform you of this matter. I hadn't realized such a ban existed, but rest assured, it's a great virtue and I will comply. The elder doctor replied, stroking his beard and readily agreeing. Seeing the elder doctor's consent, the cloth-clothed youth also showed a smile. Of course, the ban specifies that innate realm experts must not initiate conflict with those below innate, but grandmasters must not be insulted. If provoked or offended deliberately, even if the innate realm expert kills the offender, they will not be punished. Lu Qing nodded. That was only right after all. In this world, power still commanded respect. How could martial arts experts capable of reaching the innate realm tolerate being treated like cowards? If one couldn't retaliate when provoked by someone much weaker, then what was the point of having such a powerful cultivation? Without that understanding, such a ban would never have been accepted by the major powers. Moreover, the Holy Mountain won't let innate realm experts abide by this ban for nothing. The cloth-clothed youth continued. Every newly advanced innate realm expert who agrees to abide by this ban will have the opportunity to cultivate in the holy pool of the Holy Mountain for 3 days during their lifetime. This opportunity is valid forever. For you, Mr. Chen, this is an excellent opportunity. Oh, and why is that? The elder doctor inquired. The Holy Mountain is a land of great mystery and wonder, full of opportunities for the fortunate. Among them, one of the greatest is the holy pool atop the Holy Mountain. The holy pool is mysterious and marvelous, possessing the unbelievable ability to assist one in sudden enlightenment and breaking through their cultivation bottlenecks. It's extremely miraculous. Even the dullest martial artist, if they were to cultivate there, could make rapid progress, a truly wondrous thing. Upon hearing the cloth-clothed youth's explanation, even the elder doctor couldn't help but yearn for such an experience. Truly, the world is vast and full of marvels. Everything Ji Rui has mentioned are things this old man has never heard or seen before. This time, I truly have gained insight, the elder doctor exclaimed. Mr. Chun, this jade token is the proof recognized by the Holy Mountain. I will convey your information to the sect, and it will be passed on to Holy Mountain. When you arrive in Central State, you may inquire at Tianji Building with this jade token to find the location of Holy Mountain, the cloth-clothed youth said, handing a small jade token to the elder doctor. The elder doctor took the jade token, feeling a stir in his heart. The quality of the jade in this jade token closely resembled that of the inheritance jade scroll given to him by Qing before. After giving out the jade token, the cloth-clothed youth stood up. Mr. Chun, my main purpose for this visit was to inform you about the ban. Now that I've done so, I must take my leave, said the youth. You're leaving so soon, Ji Rui? Won't you stay for a meal? The elder doctor offered. No, the situation in the city is not yet settled, and I should not be away for too long. I need to return, the cloth-clothed youth declined. Speaking of which, I have heard about the incidents in the county. May I inquire with Ji Rui, when will the Wei Mansion's peril be resolved? The elder doctor asked. To his surprise, the cloth-clothed youth shook his head. The crisis of the Wei family is likely difficult to resolve. It seemed he was not surprised that the elder doctor would bring up such a matter. The elder doctor was shocked. What do you mean? Although the Wei family's ancestor has returned, his heart meridians were wounded by the sword qi of Elder Wang Tsangi from the Heaven sect. Now with the sword qi deeply embedded and hard to eliminate, if it remains within his heart meridians, given his cultivation, he might not last a year. If Wang Tsangi has enough patience to wait a year, and once the Wei family's ancestor passes away, that could be the very moment the Wei family faces extinction. Can't you do anything to prevent all this? The elder doctor urgently asked. The cloth-clothed youth shook his head. Tianji Building has its principles and never intervenes in the conflicts between various powers. Unless Wang Tsangi himself takes action, then I have no reason to interfere. Hearing this, the elder doctor fell into a long silence. Seeing the elder doctor's silence, the cloth-clothed youth hinted. The key to the Wei family's survival now lies in the injury of their patriarch. If his health can be fully restored, the Wei family will naturally be safe. If he passes away with a flickering flame, then the Wei family's peril will be imminent. Chapter 184 The Holy Mountain Edict, Merit and Opportunities, The Elder Doctor's Decision _3. The elder doctor's heart stirred, and he fell into deep thought. Seeing that the elder doctor had understood his meaning, the cloth-clothed youth smiled. He nodded to Lu Qing as a form of greeting, then picked up the small bag of plum blossom tea from the table and floated out of the courtyard, heading down the mountain. After confirming that the cloth-clothed youth had left, Lu Qing asked, Master, what should we do now? Although he didn't specify, the elder doctor knew that Lu Qing was referring to the Wei family's situation. The elder doctor sighed. It seems that this old man cannot escape involvement this time. Master, do you intend to go to Wei Mansion to heal the Wei family's ancestors' injuries? Based on what Ji Rui said earlier, I'm probably the only one who can heal the Wei family ancestors' wounds. We've seen the people from the Wei family before. They are not bad people. I cannot stand idly by and watch them be slaughtered. Watching his master's serious expression, Lu Qing knew that if his master didn't go this time and the Wei family were indeed wiped out in the future, he would likely be plagued by guilt for the rest of his life. If he had not known about the severity of the Wei family ancestors' injuries, It would be different, but now that he did, he couldn't deceive himself. There was no helping it. His master simply had that kind-hearted nature. Now that he thought about it, that cloth-clothed youth must have calculated his master's personality before deliberately making those remarks before leaving. Since master wants to go, then let's go. I support you in this, Lu Qing said. However, master, how do you plan to get there? Sneak into Wei Mansion quietly? I'm afraid that won't work. The elder doctor shook his head. The Wei family's ancestors' injuries are to the heart meridians. With such a critical issue, how can they trust a stranger of the innate realm who bursts into their home unannounced? Moreover, after cultivating to the innate realm, we need to often use divine soul power to merge with heaven and earth primordial qi, inducting energy into our bodies and refining it into our own innate true qi. Over time, one inevitably becomes imbued with a hint of the world's essence, which is difficult to conceal. Postnatal martial artists cannot detect it, but it cannot be hidden from other martial artists of the innate realm. If I were to sneak into Wei Mansion and the Wei family's ancestor mistook my intentions, leading to a conflict, then I would be completely without defense. The elder doctor might not have understood other matters, but when it came to difficult patients, he was all too familiar. Lu Qing recalled what the cloth-clothed youth had said. Indeed, if such a misunderstanding caused a battle of innate-level fighters in the county, it'd be a grave injustice. So, we need someone from Wei Mansion who is sufficiently trusted to introduce us and avoid this unnecessary conflict. A flash of insight struck Lu Qing. Mrs. Wei and young Master Wei. That is a good idea, but I'm afraid that might entail some risks for them, the elder doctor said. We're acting to save the Wei family. I'm sure Mrs. Wei will understand, Lu Qing said. He knew that if Mrs. Wei found out the reason, she would likely be even more anxious than him and his master. All right, go and bring them out of the mountain. We'll depart for the county this afternoon. The elder doctor nodded. So Lu Qing took little Li and rushed into the mountains. After the cloth-clothed youth's visit, he had specifically told little Li to hide and not to meet with him. After all, the youth's exotic treasure was too mysterious, even able to sense changes in heaven and earth's aura from 100 miles away. Although he wasn't sure if hiding little Li was effective, it was still better to avoid a meeting as much as possible. But it seemed the cloth-clothed youth had not detected that he had cultivated divine soul power. This showed that his exotic treasure wasn't omnipotent. At least not every piece of information could be discovered by it. Unfortunately, the cloth-clothed youth did not display the exotic treasure, so Lu Qing's superpower could not probe and discern what exotic treasure it was. Rushing with little Li, Lu Qing soon reached the cave where Ma Gu and the others were hiding. Luckily, all three were inside the cave. Brother Lu Qing, what's happened? Seeing Lu Qing enter, Ma Gu and the others were shocked. None of them expected that Lu Qing, who had just left the day before, would return so soon. Let's talk on the way. Gather your things, we're preparing to leave the mountain. Chapter 185. Peace before departure. Hidden dragon emerges from the abyss. Young Master Lu, what exactly has happened? Can you tell us now? In the forest, Lu Qing, who was carrying Mrs. Wei, asked. A look of nervousness was evident on his face. Just moments ago, Lu Qing had suddenly arrived, instructing everyone to pack their belongings and saying they needed to leave the mountain immediately. Although everyone was unclear about the reason, they trusted Lu Qing and, despite their anxiety, did as they were told. Now, walking through the forest, Mrs. Wei could no longer contain her curiosity. This morning, a cloth-clothed youth, the same one I mentioned to you yesterday, who stopped the battle between your ancestral master and that mysterious disciple of Tianji building from the innate realm, came to visit my master and brought some rather distressing news. Your Wei family's ancestral master from the innate realm was ambushed by that mysterious figure from the innate realm and injured in the heart meridian by innate sword energy. A severe injury that's hard to heal. If the sword wound isn't treated soon, he'll have at most 1 more year to live. Lu Qing explained slowly. How could this be? Mrs. Wei and the others were shocked to hear this. This was told by the disciple from Tianji Building named Ji Rui. Given his actions in the county recently, there's no need for him to deceive us about this matter, so it must be true. Mrs. Wei and the other spirits were immediately thrown into disarray. They had thought that after the return of their ancestral master, everything at home would stabilize, and they could peacefully await the day they returned home. They had not expected such a serious hidden danger in their ancestral master's injury. After a while, Mrs. Wei calmed her spirit and continued, "Then, the reason young Master Lu has us leaving the mountain is, even if their ancestral master was gravely injured, with their limited abilities, they couldn't be of much help. It seemed there was no reason for them to leave the mountain. My master, upon hearing of your ancestral master's condition, intends to try to go to the county to see if he can resolve his injuries. However, as you know, the situation in the county is complicated right now, and your mansion is likely very cautious about outsiders. If just my master and I were to visit, it might be difficult not only to gain your family's trust but might also lead to misunderstandings. That's why we thought to ask you and the young master to come down from the mountain with us and return to the county together. Does your master feel confident in treating our ancestral master's injuries?" Mrs. Wei asked, visibly relieved. "There's no absolute certainty, as he hasn't yet examined your ancestral master personally. Everything is difficult to predict, but we must try, mustn't we?" Lu Qing did not oversell the assurance. But Mrs. Wei discerned a deeper meaning in Lu Qing's words. If the elder doctor had no confidence at all, why would he risk coming to the county? A spark of hope ignited in her heart. "Then let me, on behalf of our Wei family, first thank young Master Lu and your master for their righteous assistance." Mrs. Wei was incredibly grateful. Given the Wei family's current situation, most people would avoid them at all costs. No one would dare to involve themselves with them. It was fortunate enough that someone was not kicking them while they were down. For Lu Qing and the others to repeatedly offer help and attempt to save her and her son, and even the entire Wei family, she was truly at a loss for how to express her gratitude. As they walked through the forest, when they finally emerged, they went straight to the half-mountain small courtyard. The elder doctor was already waiting in the courtyard. Seeing everyone had returned, he smiled. "Everyone is back?" Mrs. Wei, who had already dismounted from Lu Qing's back, performed a courteous bow. "Ning Yan has seen the elder doctor. In the past, you saved my son from the brink of death, and Ning Yan has not been able to visit to express thanks personally, which is truly embarrassing. Hee, it's all trivial matters, no need to worry about it." The elder doctor stroked his beard and chuckled. "Greetings to the elder doctor." At this time, Wei Zian also came forward to bow. The elder doctor examined his complexion and nodded. "You've recovered well, and have grown much stronger." "Yes. I have been training in martial arts recently with my master and Dr. Lu Xiao. I feel much better than before." Wei Zian gripped the wooden staff in his hands and spoke cheerfully. "Good, very good." The elder doctor also noticed that Wei Zian's temperament seemed to have changed significantly and was very pleased. As for Ma Gu, since he used to come here often, he was already considered an acquaintance, therefore not much cordial exchange was needed. He simply performed a bow to the elder doctor. "Elder doctor, when do we depart?" After some pleasantries, Mrs. Wei inquired. Ever since she learned of her ancestral master's condition, her heart had been somewhat uneasy. "There's no rush at this very moment. You've just come out from the mountains, go freshen up and have some lunch, and after you've restored your spirits, then we'll set off," the elder doctor said. Ma Gu and the others had been living in a cave, and although they weren't lacking food and drink, other aspects were certainly inconvenient. Now they all looked somewhat disheveled and weary. Mrs. Wei also knew that their current state was somewhat improper and understood that haste wouldn't help in saving the Wei family. Thus, she didn't oppose the elder doctor's arrangement and went to freshen up. The elder doctor had already prepared hot water for them, and once Mrs. Wei and the others returned clean, they saw Lu Qing was already busy in the kitchen, with bursts of food fragrance drifting from inside. "Sister, you should take a good look." Just then, Mrs. Wei heard a sweet voice. She looked down and saw a little girl standing in front of her, tilting her head curiously at her. Seeing the angelic, elfin little girl before her, Mrs. Wei felt a surge of affection. She bent down to lift little Yen and asked, "Little one, what's your name?"
I'm Elu Xiaoyan.
"Sister, who are you?" Little Yen asked cheerily. Chapter 186. The Calm Before Departure. The dragon emerges from the abyss _2. "So it's little Yen," said a voice. "I'm not your sister. Call me auntie. I'm your brother's friend. My last name is Li." Mrs. Wei instantly knew that this little girl was the one and heir and the others had talked about, Lu Qing's sister. She just hadn't expected that little Yen would be so pretty. Even the girls in the city couldn't compare to her delicate and charming appearance. "Auntie." Little Yen compared her to the aunties in her village, a bit confused. "But aunties aren't as young as you, are they?" "Little one, you really are adorable." No woman would dislike being called young, and upon hearing this innocent and bubbly remark, Mrs. Wei burst into joyous laughter. Holding the soft and fragrant little Yen, she didn't want to let go. Little Yen also liked this beautiful and kind auntie very much, finding her incredibly warm. So the two of them, one big and one small, began to chat happily. Their cheerful expressions made Wei Zian, who was standing nearby, somewhat stunned. Since they had fled, this was the first time he had seen such a genuinely happy smile on his mother's face. "Little Yen, the food will be ready soon. Set the tableware and get ready to eat." While the two were happily chatting, Lu Qing's voice emanated from the kitchen. "I can eat now, auntie. You sit here. I'll go help my brother." Upon hearing this, little Yen immediately jumped out of Mrs. Wei's arms and ran to the kitchen. "I'll come help too," said Mrs. Wei, following her into the kitchen. Then she saw little Yen fetching bowls from the cupboard. As for the kitchen, many dishes were already prepared. Several vegetarian dishes were placed on a small table nearby. A steaming pot was being heated, suggesting something was being steamed inside. Next to it, a clay pot was simmering soup, and beside that, a crock pot bubbled with bright red chunks of meat. Looking at the dishes and smelling the rich aroma, Mrs. Wei couldn't help but swallow her saliva. These days, hidden in the mountains, although they weren't short of food, it was obviously impossible to eat well. Suddenly seeing so many delicious-looking dishes, even someone with her discipline felt a bit greedy. "Madam, why are you here? The kitchen is full of smoke. Be careful not to irritate your eyes." It was Lu Qing, actively managing the fire, who hurriedly said this. "I came to see if there's anything I can help with," Mrs. Wei responded. "No need, the dishes are almost ready. Madam, you just need to bring out these vegetarian dishes. I'll finish steaming this fish, and then we can eat," Lu Qing said with a smile. "All right." After Mrs. Wei brought out the dishes, little Yen also confidently carried a large stack of bowls out of the kitchen. "Little Yen, let me help you," Mrs. Wei quickly said, looking concerned. "No need, auntie, I can manage," the little one declined. Little Yen had taken the earth vein spirit liquid and absorbed the primordial chi white mist gathered from the elder doctor's breakthrough moment. Her physical condition was exceptional. In terms of strength, she probably surpassed many village children over the age of 10. So, carrying a few bowls was indeed a simple task. Once the tableware was set, Lu Qing's fish was also perfectly steamed. Soon, a full table of dishes was neatly arranged. "All right, let's eat." As Lu Qing placed the freshly steamed fish in the center of the table and clapped his hands, little Li was already feasting on a dish of fish in some corner outside. "Ah, Qing's cooking skills are getting better and better." The elder doctor, sitting in the main seat, laughed. "Yes, the food my brother cooks is the tastiest." Little Yen sat on her little stool, her face beaming with pride. As for Ma Gu and the others, looking at the table full of delicious dishes, their eyes widened. Steamed fish, chicken soup, braised rabbit meat, fried fish, and stir-fried vegetables. How long had it been since they had tasted such dishes? "Brother Lu Qing, what dish is this?" Ma Gu pointed to the bubbling red, shiny meat in the crock pot. "This is braised pork. It tastes quite good," Lu Qing answered. "All right. No need to be polite. Let's eat." The elder doctor spoke up, picking up a piece of fried fish first. Seeing the elder doctor begin, everyone else started picking up their chopsticks. Ma Gu and Wei Ziyan, specifically, reached for the braised pork in the crockpot first. They couldn't help it. The trembling, glossy hunks of meat were just too tempting. Placing a piece of braised pork into their mouths, they experienced the sensation of it melting instantly alongside a burst of rich meaty aroma, and their eyes widened in surprise. Neither had ever tasted such delicious and aromatic meat. Dr. Lu Xiao, what meat is this made from, and how can it be so flavorful? Wei Ziyan couldn't help asking. This is pork. I bought it from the butcher in the neighboring village this morning. Lu Qing answered with a smile. Pork can taste this good? Wei Ziyan was somewhat incredulous. After this period of hardship, he was no longer the delicate young master who felt nauseated at the mention of pork. But he still couldn't believe that meat from the seemingly dirty pig could taste so exquisite. Ordinary pork, naturally, can't be cooked to have such a rich flavor. But this braised pork has undergone some special treatment by me, making it tastier than regular pork. These days, Lu Qing often roamed the mountains and, occasionally using his superpower to explore, discovered several plants that could replace some contemporary seasoning ingredients. As a result, his cooking skills had also improved significantly. Chapter 187. The calm before departure. The hidden dragon emerges from the abyss _3. Now, the braised pork could be made to taste nearly as good as it had in his previous life. Mrs. Wei saw how deliciously her son was eating the dish. Although she initially wasn't too keen on fatty-looking meat, she couldn't resist trying a small piece. Then she too was amazed. The pork looked greasy but wasn't fatty at all. Instead, it was rich and fragrant, perfect with rice. After tasting the other dishes, they were even more surprised. The chicken soup was savory, the steamed fish was sweet and fresh, the fried fish was crispy and aromatic, and even the greens were delicious. Each dish's flavor was beyond their expectations. So everyone had their fill, thoroughly pleased and satisfied, leaving not a single leftover. Even the last bit of sauce from the pork was scooped up with rice by Ma Gu and Wei Ziyan. Even Mrs. Wei, who was usually very restrained, couldn't help having an extra bowl of chicken soup after she was full. Brother Lu Qing, I'm really starting to regret not having meals at your place before. How many delicacies have I missed out on? After the feast, Ma Gu was full of remorse. Haha, it's not too late to come over in the future. Just means more chopsticks. Lu Qing laughed. That's for sure. Even if you don't invite me, I'm going to shamelessly stick around for meals, Ma Gu joked. Seeing this, Wei Ziyan looked on enviously. If his family didn't live in the city, he too would like to come by for meals often. But then, he thought Ma Gu was now his master. As a disciple, it was only right to visit the master often, right? And if by accident he also came over to young Master Lu's place for a meal, that would be normal too, wouldn't it? Wei Ziyan couldn't help but feel pleased with his own cleverness. Even Mrs. Wei was almost tempted by the idea. Unfortunately, she knew that with her status, once she returned to her residence, it wouldn't be easy to come out again. For a moment, the meal made everyone's mood relax, and they seemed to forget the upcoming trip to the county. But what needed to be faced had to be faced eventually. After the meal, there was a silence, and the elder doctor finally spoke. Ah Qing, get ready. We're about to leave. Yes, master. Lu Qing nodded and went out to prepare. With the members of the Tiansong sect around, they couldn't just stroll into the county openly. They still had to disguise themselves. So Lu Qing went to the village to borrow a set of clothes for Mrs. Wei and Wei Ziyan to wear. He also borrowed old Zhang's docile ox and cart from next door, loading it with some medicinal herbs. Once everything was ready, Lu Qing, with the war saber and a covered bamboo basket on his back, lifted little Yen onto the cart. Indeed, he had decided to take little Yen with him this time. The trip to the county was fraught with danger, and he and his master were unsure what might happen. Leaving little Yen alone in the village without little Li was not something he was comfortable with. The two siblings had been each other's sole support, so this time they would set out together. After all, He and his master would never let anyone harm little Yen before they themselves fell. "Brother, where are we going?" Little Yen, seated excitedly in the cart, asked. "We're going to the county. Haven't you always wanted to see the city? Well, this is your chance." "To the city?" "Yes, yes." Little Yen was immediately delighted. She had never been to the city before. "Mrs. Wei, please help take care of little Yen along the way," Lu Qing said to Mrs. Wei, who was also seated in the cart. "I will." Mrs. Wei, dressed as a village woman, held little Yen tightly. She hadn't expected Lu Qing to bring little Yen along, but she could feel Lu Qing's determination and knew persuading him might be futile. So she silently made a vow, unless it cost her life, she would not let little Yen come to harm. Once everything was in place, the elder doctor took the lead with the cart, cracked the whip, and the wheels of the cart began to turn slowly as they headed out of the village. Lu Qing, Ma Gu, and Wei Zian walked alongside the cart. The villagers were unaware of what Lu Qing and the others were setting out to do, and they were oblivious to Mrs. Wei and her son's true identities. They just thought they were accompanying the elder doctor to the city. Seeing Lu Qing and the group setting off, the villagers bid them farewell without much additional sentiment. Now that Lu Qing was so capable, they were not worried about him. As the cart reached the edge of the village, the elder doctor stopped. Lu Qing walked forward and, from beneath a stone slab under the letter tree, took out 3 red ropes and wrapped them around the tree. "Young Master Lu, what is this?" When Lu Qing returned, Mrs. Wei asked. "This is a tradition of our village. Everyone who leaves the village must tie a red rope on it." Lu Qing gave her a brief explanation, but the simplicity of his words made Mrs. Wei's heart tremble fiercely. The hands holding little Yen tightened even more. Ma Gu and Wei Zian standing by also firmed their expressions. In their hearts, they made a certain resolution. The whip cracked again, and the ox cart moved forward, slowly advancing. The cart passed through the woods, startling a flock of birds that burst suddenly into flight. Chapter 188. Identity revealed. The whole city shocked. At dawn, the sun began its ascent. "Wow, it's so beautiful!" Sitting atop the ox cart, little Yen exclaimed in wonder. At this moment, Lu Qing and the others had left the forest and were in the midst of a plain. Surrounding them were vast expanses of fields with many cottages nestled among them. Lu Qing's ox cart was traveling on a wide official road through the center of these fields. Being the golden autumn, the fields were a beautiful golden hue. No wonder little Yen was so amazed. Compared to the disjointed patches of rice fields to the east and west of Jili village, the sensation of vast contiguous rice paddies was truly stunning. "Brother Lu Qing, a bit further ahead is the county city," said Ma Gu, pointing at the tall city walls in the distance. Looking at the city in the distance, Lu Qing was somewhat surprised. He had thought the county city wouldn't be very large, but he was wrong. Just by looking at the height of the walls, he feared the county city was much larger than those so-called ancient cities he had seen on his travels in his previous life. No wonder Master had said before that the city was another world. Just from what was before his eyes, compared to the area around Jili village, the county city was indeed much more prosperous. "Master, we are almost at the county city. So what should we do as we enter?" Yesterday afternoon, they had set out from Jili village, and with the ox cart's slow speed, a journey of more than 100 miles was not short. By the time they had covered most of the distance, it had already grown dark. Traveling at night was difficult, and the county city's gates would be closed. So, after nightfall, they found an abandoned kiln in the wilderness and stayed the night, waiting for the first glimpse of dawn before continuing their journey. "Let's just go in like this. As long as we make it into the city, we will be safe," said the elder doctor. Lu Qing nodded. Master was an innate realm martial artist. As long as they made it inside the city, even if Wang Tsangi became aware, they could not do anything to them, unless he wished to unleash an innate realm battle within the city at all costs. So Lu Qing and his companions all concealed their auras, hid their swords and knives on the ox cart, and tried to appear as if they were simple farmers entering the city for the market. Mrs. Wei and Wei Xian's fair faces were even dusted with dirt to conceal their complexions, making them look like ordinary farmers and young farm lads. The elder doctor, too, wore a bamboo hat to cover his face. Following behind other people who were also entering the city for the early market, the ox cart slowly moved forward. As they drew closer to the county city, everyone's hearts began to rise with apprehension, especially Mrs. Wei, whose heart pounded furiously. She held little Yen tightly, trying hard to calm her emotions and avoid showing any sign of weakness. Lu Qing, seeing the city wall that stood dozens of meters tall, neatly stacked in front of them, understood why Ma Gu and the others had not suggested entering the city at night. Even martial artists at the Muscle Bone realm would find it difficult to climb over such tall, slick walls without alerting others, let alone with Mrs. Wei and her children. The city walls grew ever closer, and the ox cart moved beyond the fields to the large open buffer zone outside the city. However, just when they were about 100 meters from the city gate, the elder doctor brought the ox cart to a halt. At the same time, a slight movement came from the basket on Lu Qing's back. "Master!" Lu Qing started with a shock. "Alas, we still can't hide it after all," sighed the elder doctor. Ma Gu and the others were greatly shocked and were about to ask in detail when they heard a long laugh coming from in front of them. A figure suddenly appeared atop the city wall above the gate. At the same time, a large group of soldiers emerged from within the city, dispersing the crowd and sealing off the gate. The crowd, who had intended to enter the city, was suddenly scattered in panic. Those who ran slowly were beaten until their noses bled and their faces swelled, with their belongings scattered all around. Fortunately, those people were somewhat restrained, considering this was a county city, and did not dare to be too excessive, thankfully avoiding any fatalities. Lu Qing watched this scene, and a trace of coldness gradually appeared in his eyes. This is too much. Where are the people from the county lord mansion? Are they just allowing these people to behave so wantonly? Even Ma Gu, standing beside him, couldn't bear to watch and indignantly exclaimed. As for Mrs. Wei and her children, their hearts were filled with even more sorrow and anger. With these people acting so arrogantly, they couldn't imagine what kind of bullying their home had suffered these past days. Soon, the crowd that wanted to enter the city had been thoroughly dispersed, leaving only Lu Qing's lone ox cart still standing in place. Which fellow innate realm expert is so polite to give Wang such a big favor by personally delivering Wei Xinghe's wife and child? Wang is truly grateful, said the figure atop the gate in a loud voice. Upon hearing this, the entire city was shocked. The Tin Song clan had made such a show of sealing off the city gates, an action that was enough to draw the attention of all the forces within the city. They wondered what the new dragon crossing the river intended to do. Hearing Wang Zhangyi's words, it seemed that the Wei family's matriarch and young Master Wei had returned, and that, in addition, it seemed to involve yet another innate realm expert. Instantly, all the forces within the city began to stir, rushing their experts towards the city gate. Another innate realm expert? At the county lord mansion, the Lord County Master, who was playing chess, was taken aback upon hearing Wang Zhangyi's voice. Since when had his secluded small city become so popular? Those elusive innate realm individuals were showing up one after the other. "Let's go out and take a look," said the cloth-clothed youth sitting opposite, as he stood up and spoke indifferently. "Ji Rui, do you know something?" The Lord County Master looked at his friend's expression and quickly asked. He recalled that this fellow had seemingly disappeared for a while yesterday. Chapter 189. Identity exposed. The entire city astonished _2. However, the cloth-clothed youth ignored his question and walked straight outside. "Hey, Ji Rui, wait for me." The Lord County Master hastily followed him. Seizing the chance for some excitement, Ji Rui didn't stop him. An opportunity like this couldn't be missed. Wei Mansion, a quiet courtyard. Ning Yen and an heir have returned? Upon hearing the voice that spread throughout the city, Wei Xinghe first rejoiced, but then his face drastically changed. "Another innate realm expert, who is it? Have Ning Yen and an heir fallen into their hands? What should we do, master? The ancestor has not yet left seclusion. Should we go inform him? Housekeeper Wei asked anxiously. No need. I have already heard. Wei Shanhai's figure appeared in the courtyard. Ancestor. Wei Xinghe and another rejoiced. Are your injuries better? No. Wei Shanhai shook his head, delivering a disappointing answer. I have meditated for several days with no success. However, Wei Xinghe quickly regained his spirits. Ancestor, Wang Tsangyi said Ning Yen and an heir have returned, and they're in the hands of another innate realm expert. Is that right? Their chi blood is too weak, and the distance too great. I can't confirm it yet, but outside the city, there is indeed the presence of another unfamiliar innate realm expert, Wei Shanhai said gravely. He had not imagined that in the insignificant Song County, a third innate realm expert would appear. Was the newcomer friend or foe, merely passing by, or had Wang Tsangyi called for powerful reinforcements? For a moment, even with Wei Shanhai's composure, he began to feel unsettled. Nonetheless, he knew that no matter what, he had to go out and clarify everything. The city's major powers were all agitated by Wang Tsangyi's statement. Meanwhile, outside the city, Lu Qing was looking up at the figure on the city gate. In his view, the figure on the gate was emitting a faint golden superpower light. Wang Tsangyi, inner sect second elder of the northern border Sky Blue sect, deceitful and suspicious by nature, adept at disguises, and highly protective. Cultivation, peak of initial innate realm, gold element attribute true energy. In possession of various innate secret techniques, especially skilled in swordsmanship. Younger days were spent in Wei Shanhai's company, regarded as close confidants, later conflicting over character differences and uneven sharing of treasure, becoming sworn enemies. Seeing the information displayed in his view, Lu Qing breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Wang Tsangyi's cultivation was only at the peak of the initial innate realm, not much stronger than his master. Their side was not in an absolutely disadvantaged position. However, what surprised him was that Wang Tsangyi and the old ancestor of the Wei family used to be friends in their youth. This could explain why the distant Sky Blue sect in the northern border would know of a treasured possession in Wei family of this small city, and why they would come from afar to seize it. Master, how did he discover us? Lu Qing inquired. It's our bad luck. The innate realm expert near the city gate had been there early, and as soon as we approached, he sensed the inborn energy mechanism on me. The elder doctor said with a wry smile. It's probably not just our bad luck. The other party must have never left the vicinity of the city gate, always guarding against Wei family's old ancestor, Lu Qing said coldly. From the information gleaned through his superpower, it seemed that Wang Tsangyi was the typical deceitful type. Such individuals are often relentless in achieving their goals. Lu Qing guessed that since the attack on Wei Mansion had failed, Wang Tsangyi must have been keeping a vigil, ready to sense anyone from Wei family coming and going. Master, are you confident in defeating this Wang Tsangyi? Lu Qing quietly asked. I'm afraid not. The elder doctor shook his head. This innate realm expert has a powerful energy mechanism, and I'm not good at fighting. I would certainly not be his match in an actual combat. Even with the cultivation techniques left by Senior Li? It's difficult. My talent is mediocre, and of the cultivation techniques Senior Li taught, I've only learned 2. The mysterious depths of each, I've only understood about 30 to 40%, which is hardly a match for these real innate realm experts. The elder doctor admitted openly. That's so, it looks like we can only try to stall for time until the old ancestor of the Wei family comes out. Lu Qing felt it was problematic. However, he believed that Wang Tsangyi would also not act rashly. After all, he didn't know that his master was not adept at fighting. With a Wei family ancestor glaring like a tiger in the shadows, the other party would likely not easily make an enemy of someone from the innate realm again. Beside them, Ma Gu and the others, listening to the conversation between the master and disciple, were already dumbfounded. Elder Doctor, you're a heavenly realm expert? Ma gusta merde. It's just a stroke of luck that I made a breakthrough to the innate realm. Can't be considered much of an expert. The elder doctor shook his head. Ma Gu's mouth gaped open. How could he have imagined that the always amiable elder doctor, who was pleasant to everyone on normal days, would be an innate realm expert? Although he had known previously that the elder doctor was a martial artist of the internal organ realm, he had never imagined that the elder doctor would step into the innate realm without any sound or fury. Mrs. Wei and her son likewise could not believe it. Could the old man who personally drove their cart really be one of the legendary innate realm experts? While Ma Gu and the others were in shock, Wang Tsongi across from them was feeling somewhat annoyed. He didn't expect that after he'd taken the initiative to show goodwill, the other party would not even reply. It was as if he was being completely disregarded. However, thinking of Wei Shanhai in the city, he still suppressed his anger. Sir, about the proposal I made earlier, what is your stance? As long as you hand over those from the Wei family to me, my Sky Blue sect will definitely reward you generously. This was the first time Wang Tsongi publicly revealed the origin of his sect. Clearly, in the face of the elder doctor, a mysterious figure from the innate realm, he remained apprehensive without knowing the other's background and intended to use the prestige of his sect to coerce the other party into compliance. Unfortunately for him, the elder doctor didn't even know what the Sky Blue sect was. He shook his head. I'm afraid I must decline, elder. You have murderous intent, and if these two children fall into your hands, I fear they will not meet a good end. So you're determined to aid the Wei family? Wang Tsongi's gaze turned cold, and his presence gradually started to rise. He had confirmed now that the elder doctor and his companions were the Wei family's helpers. He thought of the deaths of his 3 direct disciples, and the coldness in his eyes grew deeper. His tone also lost its politeness. Old fellow, tell me, did you kill my disciples? Feeling the escalating momentum from Wang Tsongi, Lu Qing was startled and stepped forward, shouting loudly, Are you intending to challenge the decree of the Holy Mountain and take action against us? Presumptuous! Wang Tsongi saw a mere martial artist from the muscle-bone realm daring to shout at him, and a flash of fierceness appeared in his eyes. An overwhelming pressure instantly crushed down on Lu Qing. Everyone on the ox cart was enveloped too. The might of an innate realm was extraordinary. Even if they were not the main targets, just being brushed by the fringe of this power, Mrs. Wei and the others already showed discomfort and were nearly passing out. Fortunately, in the next moment, the elder doctor waved his hand, and a gentle presence emanated from him, wrapping around them and blocking Wang Tsongi's intense pressure. Even so, Mrs. Wei and the others started coughing loudly. Even Ma Gu, who had a small success in the bone realm, was no exception. His face turned red, his eyes wide with horror. This was his first time experiencing the might of the innate realm, and it was more terrifying than he could have anticipated. Auntie, are you okay? Are you all right? Little Yen, held in Mrs. Wei's arms, looked concernedly at her and started gently patting her back to help her calm her breath. Auntie's fine. Mrs. Wei shook her head, but soon she sensed something was amiss. Little Yen, aren't you uncomfortable? Little Yan's face showed concern, but there were no signs of distress. Not uncomfortable at all. But that uncle over there is so scary. Little Yen doesn't like him. Little Yen shook her head, frowning with disapproval. Mrs. Wei stared dumbfounded at her. Wang Tsongi saw his innate momentum so easily neutralized by the elder doctor, and his heart jolted. What surprised him even more was Lu Qing, who had stood right in front and had fully borne the brunt of his momentum. The young man was standing there, his gaze clear and his expression calm, as if the formidable aura was nothing more than a gentle breeze, leaving him completely unaffected. How is this possible? All the martial artists witnessing this were shocked. Chapter 190. Overestimating Oneself? Lu Qing asks to fight. A battle of sinews, bones, and inner organs. At this moment, near the city gate, not only disciples of the Tiansong sect were present, but also other martial artists from the city's various forces. All of them were the strongest of their respective groups. Even the weakest among them was a powerful martial artist, approaching great achievement in the bone marrow realm. Since the prohibition order that forbade innate realm martial artists from injuring those below their realm at will became known, everyone was less reverent toward innate realm experts. Upon hearing that another innate realm expert had arrived outside the city, they all hurried over. After all, opportunities to observe innate realm martial artists up close were rare, and being able to witness and feel the aura of the innate realm might even benefit their future cultivation. Unexpectedly, just as they arrived, they witnessed Lu Qing effortlessly withstand Wang Tsangyi's innate pressure without changing his expression. This left everyone in awe and disbelief. In previous days, they had experienced firsthand how terrifying the pressure exerted by innate realm experts could be. During the standoff between Wang Tsangyi and Wei Shanhai, the entire county had almost trembled under their innate pressure. How did that young man manage to remain unaffected? It seems Mr. Wang really regards the Holy Mountain's prohibition as nothing. The question is, can you afford the consequences of violating it? Lu Qing looked at the figure on the city gate and spoke loudly. The calm and composed manner in which he did so left the other martial artists somewhat dumbfounded. This young man was truly audacious, daring to openly question an innate realm grandmaster. Was he not afraid of truly angering Wang Tsangyi and getting himself killed with a single sword strike? Looking down upon Lu Qing, Wang Tsangyi's gaze was icy. He was about to speak when he suddenly sensed two auras appear on the side of the city wall. He turned to look and saw the county lord and the cloth-clothed youth standing not far away, looking in his direction. Seeing the calm gaze of the cloth-clothed youth, Wang Tsangyi's expression paused for a moment, and the harsh words he had intended to utter were swallowed back down. However, the anger in his heart could not be suppressed. If it weren't for the presence of this disciple from Tianji Building, he would have already unleashed a massacre. Unfortunately, even with his anger, there was nothing he could do in this situation. Being unable to do anything about the cloth-clothed youth didn't mean he had no way of dealing with Lu Qing, though. Boy, you have guts and a bit of cleverness. A mere muscle-bone realm warrior daring to talk back at me. But do you think that just because the Holy Mountain's prohibition order is in place, I have no way to deal with you? No, you are merely seeking your own death. With a mocking look on his face, Wang Tsangyi regarded Lu Qing as if he were looking at a dead man. Bear, capture this kid for me. Don't kill him just yet. Let's torture him well after he's been caught. Yes, master. The great Han, Wang Tsangyi's eldest disciple, responded with a deep voice, stepping forward slowly. Mr. Ji Rui, the boy has insulted me. I'm having my eldest disciple teach him a lesson. That doesn't violate the Holy Mountain's prohibition order, does it? Wang Tsangyi turned his head to speak to the cloth-clothed youth. Of course not. The cloth-clothed youth shook his head. And what if that innate realm expert over there makes a move against my disciple because of this? Does that violate the order? Wang Tsangyi asked again. It does. The cloth-clothed youth uttered a word expressionlessly. Good, very good. Wang Tsangyi nodded in satisfaction. He then called down, Bear, did you hear that? If that old fellow dares to lay a hand on you, your master will stand up for you, so don't worry. I understand, master, the great Han shouted back. Wang Tsangyi's conversation with the cloth-clothed youth was not intentionally masked, so nearly all the martial artists heard it. Suddenly, everyone's glance toward Lu Qing was filled with pity. Who was this great Han? He was capable of exchanging blows with the Wei family patriarch, already at the peak of postnatal martial artists, and held the title of an expert with the perfect internal realm. Among those here, apart from the two innate realm adults and the mysterious Lord Ji Rui, he likely had the highest cultivation level. Lu Qing was merely a minor sinew and bone warrior. How could he possibly be a match for him? Moreover, the words that Lu Qing had used to taunt Wang Tsangyi earlier were now being turned against him by Wang Tsangyi, effectively tying down his only support. What should we do now, Elder Doctor? Ma Gu asked, watching the great Han approach step by step and sensing the strong qi blood emanating from him. This was someone they were clearly incapable of dealing with. The great Han felt even more powerful than the internal organ realm expert they had previously encountered in the Nameless Valley. Ah Qing, you step back. The elder doctor wouldn't stand by and watch his disciple suffer. He was ready to take action to make the opponent back down. However, Wang Tsangyi, who had been paying close attention to this side, could hardly overlook this scene. Seeing the elder doctor about to move, he immediately condensed a sword chi in his hands. "Old man, you want to bully the weak? Then don't blame me for being rude." With an imposing aura rising, it seemed Wang Tsangyi was about to charge over here, but Lu Qing held back the elder doctor's hand. "Master, it's not yet time for you to act. Let me go and meet this brute first." "But Qing, rest assured, master, I'm confident. Even if I'm not his match, I can still retreat in one piece." Seeing the faint smile on his disciple's face, the elder doctor eventually lowered his hand. He knew Lu Qing was always prudent and seldom did things without assurance. Even if he couldn't imagine how someone with great achievement in the bone realm could fight against someone with perfection in the internal organ realm, out of trust for his student, he decided to believe in Lu Qing. "Young Master Lu, are you going to fight that villain?" Mrs. Wei exclaimed in surprise from the ox cart. "Someone has to buy some time. But, Mrs. Wei, your Wei family's reinforcements are taking too long. We have been waiting for so long, and they still haven't shown up." Lu Qing's expression was somewhat grave. I don't know. Maybe something in the mansion is holding them up." Mrs. Wei felt somewhat ashamed as she spoke. "I just hope the Wei family master and the others can arrive soon. Otherwise, I may not be able to hold on for much longer." Lu Qing sighed. He took off the covered basket on his back, handed it to little Yen, then pulled his war saber out from the ox cart. "Little Li, protect little Yen well. If anyone tries to harm her, show no mercy." Mrs. Wei and her son were stunned, and just as they wished to ask who little Li was, they saw Lu Qing already striding forward with saber in hand. Only Ma Gu was taken aback upon hearing Lu Qing's words. He heard Lu Qing intended to face off against the imposing Great Han opposite and thought he would, like the time in the Nameless Valley, fight with that mysterious living creature capable of invisibility. But from what he'd just heard, it seemed that Lu Qing wanted the mysterious creature to protect little Yen while he faced the battle alone. But after all, he was only in the muscle-bone realm. How could he possibly be an opponent for an expert in the postnatal internal realm? Unfortunately, before Ma Gu could intervene, Lu Qing had already walked away, leaving him anxious in his place. As Ma Gu fretted, the martial artists near the city gate were equally staggered, for they saw the youth across from them not only wasn't running away but was also carrying a weapon and approaching the imposing Great Han. Has this youth gone mad? Does he really wish to engage with this internal organ realm grandmaster? That kid must be scared silly. Now the senior brother will surely rip him to shreds. Youthful ignorance. Can't he see just how powerful his opponent is? Foolhardy. That boy is as good as dead. A ripple of commotion spread among those below the city gate, and the few powerful individuals atop the city wall were likewise surprised. At first, Wang Tsang's face reflected surprise, but it quickly turned into a sneer. As expected, utterly ignorant of the immensity of the heavens and the earth, thinking he was all that just because he had some talent. Perfect. He could let his son capture him as a hostage, then force that old man across to hand over the mother and son of the Wei family. Ji Rui, who is this reckless youth? The county lord couldn't help asking his friend. I do not know either. The cloth-clothed youth shook his head, but his gaze towards Lu Qing held a hint of peculiarity. When he saw Lu Qing yesterday at Half Mountain Small Courtyard, he felt there was something special about him, as though he was shrouded in mist. But at that time, most of his attention was on the elder doctor. He didn't pay much mind. Now it seemed that Lu Qing might be even more special than he had thought. With a thought, the cloth-clothed youth's gaze emitted a strand of mysterious aura, silently emanating from his eyes. Under the watchful eyes of numerous martial artists, Lu Qing arrived in front of the imposing Great Han. And in his vision, information about the imposing Great Han had already surfaced. Amidst the thick superpower light of red, a few lines of text were displayed. Zhao Bear, disciple of Tian Tsang sect, Wang Tsangyi's eldest disciple, Personality is stable and calm, seasoned and prudent. Cultivation. Perfect postnatal internal realm, proficient in saber techniques. Possess secret techniques that can double combat strength in a short period of time. Observing the information in his view, Lu Qing was somewhat surprised. Despite being another disciple of Wang Tsangyi, the personality of this eldest disciple was unexpectedly not as vile as he had guessed. Knowing that the few he and little Li had slain before were no good individuals. Young man, you've got guts. If you kneel and beg for mercy now, perhaps I can ask my master to leave your whole corpse, said the imposing Great Han, with a trace of admiration in his eyes. It was the first time he had seen a martial artist from the muscle-bone realm brave enough to stand before him. Regardless of whether Lu Qing was overly arrogant or had some reliance, the courage alone was enough to earn his admiration. Thanks for the kind offer, but I'm naturally stubborn and never had the habit of begging for mercy. I'd rather die standing than beg for life on my knees, replied Lu Qing with a smile. Good, I like your spunk. Now, let's see if your strength is as unyielding as your spirit. The Great Han commended with a shout. What use is all this talk? Let's just put it to the test. If you, too, are a swordman with your war saber, draw your blade, urged Lu Qing. To deal with someone in the muscle-bone realm like you, I wouldn't even need to draw my saber. Now that would truly be a joke, laughed the imposing Great Han with a grin. If you can force me to draw my saber, I won't need to appeal to my master. I can assure you a whole corpse. Is that so? Then I'd be endlessly grateful, remarked Lu Qing with a laugh. His body sank slightly as he assumed an opening stance of a saber technique. But you should be careful, sir. My saber technique is not so easily countered with just your fists. No sooner had the words fallen than a fierce tide of murderous intent surged from Lu Qing's being. The ground trembled, and Lu Qing's figure vanished from the spot, reappearing before the Great Han. A flash of bright saber light, teeming with overwhelming killing intent, cut through the air like a bolt from the blue, slashing towards the Great Han's head. What? The Great Han was startled. In a mere instant, he could sense the profundity of Lu Qing's blow. It had completely locked down the space around him, giving him the feeling that no matter where he dodged, he would surely be struck. Feeling this relentless and unavoidable killing saber strike, locking onto him, the Great Han didn't hesitate. He reached behind and drew his war saber, confronting the swift blade light about to reach him. Clang! A piercing collision of sabers echoed, and under the clash of immense forces, the air rippled violently. Lu Qing and the Great Han were both forced several steps back. See, I told you, my saber technique isn't so easy to counter, said Lu Qing as he inspected his war saber, now notched. He turned his gaze to the long saber-wielding Great Han, whose blade was likewise nicked, and whose face was filled with shock. Lu Qing smiled and said, Looks like you had to draw your saber after all. Chapter 191. Divine Soul Rune Perfect Outburst. The burly Great Han gripped his war saber, his face showing shocked disbelief as he looked at Lu Qing. He couldn't believe that he had been forced to draw his sword by a single strike from Lu Qing. What was even more incredible to him was that he found Lu Qing's saber technique to be exceedingly masterful. So masterful that he, a sword Dao master, had nearly failed to block this profound strike. Most importantly, he discovered that the strength Lu Qing had burst forth with was not weak either. Although he had drawn his sword hastily and had not used his full strength, to be able to match him evenly in power, that strength had far exceeded the scope of the perfect bone marrow realm. Atop the city gates, the innate realm expert Wang Tsangyi couldn't help but widen his eyes in disbelief.
Sword intention?
How is this possible? He saw something. That kid's saber technique actually showed faint signs of breaking through the postnatal limit, reaching that realm of will that only those in the innate realm could comprehend. But how could this be possible? How could a mere martial artist in the bone realm grasp the sword intention? What the hell? What did I just see? Is this youth so fierce that he pressured a postnatal master at perfection of the inner organ realm to draw his sword with one strike? The nearby county lord nearly leapt up in shock. Even the cloth-clothed youth who had used a secret technique revealed surprise in his eyes. He had completely not anticipated Lu Qing's strength to be so formidable. A perfect bone marrow realm that could almost make a master at perfection of the inner organ realm suffer a setback. Even he could not achieve this when he was in the bone realm. As for the martial artists watching the battle below the city gates, they were outright boiling with excitement. What? Big Brother has drawn his sword. Am I seeing this right? Big Brother was forced back by that kid's single strike. This youth's saber technique is filled with a heavy killing intent. What a terrifying saber technique! Amidst the exclamations, the burly Great Han finally managed to suppress his shock and regain his composure, his face becoming grave. Exquisite saber technique. No wonder you have such confidence. Discussing only the saber technique, I'm afraid I might even be slightly inferior to you. You flatter me, replied Lu Qing with a smile. Although I do not know how you have practiced to comprehend such a saber technique at the bone realm, among all the swordmen I have encountered, you undoubtedly possess the greatest talent for saber technique. The burly Great Han spoke with earnest sincerity, no longer underestimating Lu Qing, mentally placing him on the same level as himself. However, no matter how high the realm is, it still requires a foundation of cultivation to support it. Next, I will use all my strength. I hope you will not disappoint me. It's rare to encounter a true master of the sword Dao, and I hope I won't have to kill you in just a couple of moves. The qi and blood power within the burly Great Han's body began circulating rapidly, his momentum climbing higher, as he directly utilized an explosive secret technique. As you wish. Lu Qing saw that the other party was not hesitating to use an explosive secret technique, and his expression also became serious. Daring not to be careless, with a thought, a tiny God Soul rune formed by divine soul power within the brow chakra began to faintly illuminate, casting light over his entire body. As the God Soul rune lit up, Lu Qing immediately felt a close connection between his consciousness and his physical body. All the power within him was under his complete control. At any moment, he could unleash all the potential of his body and burst out with the most powerful force. Every time I use this secret technique, I can't help but marvel at the wonders of the runes, Lu Qing thought with admiration. The God Soul rune in the brow chakra was the greatest achievement of his recent dedicated cultivation. It was not a part of martial arts, but a feature of the art of runes. The cultivation of runes started with stabilizing the spirit and purifying the heart, observing the patterns of all things in the world. Once one entered the doorway, they could cultivate divine soul power and advance to the next stage. This was where the rune cultivators began to practice the unique techniques of the art of runes. In this stage, what rune cultivators had to do mainly focused on one thing. That was to use divine soul power within the brow chakra to meticulously sketch and condense their own life-bound talisman. Once the life-bound talisman was completed, it could evoke heaven and earth primordial qi to refine the talisman, advancing to a mysterious and wonderful realm. At that point, it was when the rune cultivators truly became powerful. Of course, Lu Qing's divine soul power was still very weak and far from being able to condense a life-bound talisman. All these days he had been diligently cultivating. He had only managed to condense a single core rune that constituted a talisman. But just this one core rune already possessed quite miraculous abilities. Not only did it greatly enhance his control over his physical body, but it could also perfectly conceal the fluctuations of divine soul power at the center of his brow. The reason the cloth-clothed youth had failed to detect that he had cultivated divine soul power was because of the existence of this God Soul rune. Lu Qing had not wanted to resort to this trump card so early. But facing the muscular Great Han who had even used an explosive secret technique, if he did not give his all, he feared he would not be able to withstand a few moves before being defeated. With Lu Qing's physical quality now far surpassing that of an ordinary perfected muscle bone realm, the low-level bursting energy technique was virtually useless to him. The simplistic method of circulating qi blood was utterly incapable of deeply stimulating his body to unleash its potential. Even if he did use it, it would not add much strength. In comparison, illuminating his entire body with the God Soul rune allowed him to willingly stimulate his potential and burst forth all the strength in his body without injuring himself. Unlike other explosive secret techniques that would always leave a period of weakness after use, incapable of employing the secret technique further. Lu Qing's secret technique, as long as his divine soul power could support it, could be continuously used without draining his body. For Lu Qing, this was the strongest explosive secret technique. Therefore, he called it Perfect Burst. All of this, though lengthy to describe, actually happened in the blink of an eye. After the Great Han wielded his explosive secret technique, Lu Qing also activated his God Soul rune. Almost simultaneously, a powerful aura rose from both men, startling all the postnatal realm martial artists watching. A disciple from the Heaven Song sect revealed a shocked expression. Did our senior brother use an explosive secret technique? What made it more unbelievable was that, even after employing the secret technique, the senior brother did not seem to have overwhelmed that youngster in terms of aura. Good, very good. The muscular Great Han felt the aura emanating from Lu Qing, and although he did not understand how the opponent could burst forth with such strength, his boiling intent to fight made him stop pondering this question. With a swing of his saber, the ground beneath his feet instantly cracked. In the next instant, his body went from absolute stillness to explosive movement, appearing in front of Lu Qing like flashing lightning. His saber, carrying the sound of rolling thunder, sliced through the air with shadows trailing behind, aiming to slash at Lu Qing. Take my thunder blade. Facing the formidable and swiftly executed saber strike of the Great Han, Lu Qing was not the least bit panicked. With a calm expression, he too slashed with his saber. Surprisingly, he met attack with attack, opting for a strategy where both parties would suffer. However, in a split second, the muscular Great Han felt something was amiss. Lu Qing's strike, which seemed intent on mutual destruction, was in fact intricately executed to slip through the opening of his saber technique. If he refused to change his move, there was only one outcome. Before his saber even struck Lu Qing, his wrist would crash against Lu Qing's blade edge and be utterly disabled, ending in severed hands or death. Such impressive insight. The muscular Great Han inwardly marveled, all the more convinced that Lu Qing's saber technique realm truly surpassed his. To discern the flaws in his move in that split second, this was something he had never encountered after reaching the perfection of his Thunderblade. Nonetheless, the muscular Great Han was a perfected internal organ realm cultivator at the end. His saber technique realm had also reached the Grandmaster level where strength and gentleness harmonized and great precision was achieved. With such command over the saber technique, free and uncontrolled, he naturally would not be defeated so easily. His arm twisted, redirecting his saber towards Lu Qing's war saber. Since I cannot match your saber technique realm, I will overpower you with strength. The Great Han's eyes widened with rage, his chi blood bursting forth layer by layer, and in an instant, his saber reached extreme speed as he aimed it at Lu Qing's saber. Clang! Another harsh clash of weapons rang out. Chi force burst out, and this time neither of them retreated. Instead, they stood their ground firmly, rooted to the spot. After a brief pause, they clashed again. Sword lights flickered constantly, and intent to kill enveloped them. Numerous saber shadows sparked to life around Lu Qing and the muscular Great Han, only to vanish again. Occasional saber collisions were piercingly loud, startling anyone who heard them. One had superior strength, while the other possessed superior saber technique. For a time, neither could gain the upper hand over the other. But to the onlooking martial artists, this scene was astonishingly frightening. Chapter 192. Shocking the entire arena. Boxing Grandmaster. Hidden Dragon List. I'm not seeing things, right? That kid can actually fight the senior brother to this extent. Even the senior brother who has used the burst secret technique can't suppress that kid? Is this kid really just in the muscle bone realm? All the martial artists watching Lu Qing battle the Great Han could hardly hide their shock. At this point, with Lu Qing's full explosive effort, everyone could see that Lu Qing's cultivation was indeed still at the muscle bone realm level. But precisely because of this, everyone was even more shocked. because they couldn't imagine how Lu Qing could possibly, with the cultivation of the muscle-bone realm, contend against a martial arts grandmaster of inner organs perfection. It would be one thing if it were just a higher realm in saber technique. It could be explained as Lu Qing having astonishing talent in sword skill and having prematurely comprehended a saber technique realm that far exceeded ordinary swordsmen. But cultivation is a tangible, solid matter, allowing no room for tricks or shortcuts. Logically speaking, no matter how strong one from the muscle-bone realm is, they should not be able to stand against a grandmaster-level practitioner of inner organs perfection. Just the gap in their cultivation alone places them on completely different levels. Yet in front of them, Lu Qing incredibly defied this logic, matching a martial arts grandmaster with his muscle-bone realm cultivation, fighting to a deadlock. This left many martial artists feeling shocked and unable to comprehend. It's actually sword intention, although it's just a trace of a budding sword intention, but it's enough to suppress Wang Tsanyi, the eldest disciple with his saber skill. However, what is happening with this youth's body? How can it be so strong, maintaining such an explosive burst for so long without fading? Above the city gate, the cloth-clothed youth observed the battle below with a hint of strange excitement in his eyes. He was secretly astonished. He hadn't expected this young man, whom he had met once, to have such terrifying martial arts talent. To comprehend sword intention at the muscle-bone realm stage, although just a trace, was spectacularly defiant to heaven. What puzzled him even more was Lu Qing's body, unusually robust, managing to contend for so long against the Great Han, a martial arts grandmaster, without falling short. Even the true disciples from the top sects in the central state might find it difficult to achieve this. Perhaps only the heirs from those few mysterious lands could accomplish such devilish feats. The cloth-clothed youth shifted his gaze and looked to the side. At this moment, Wang Tsanyi's face had already turned ashen, his eyes dark, and it was unclear what he was thinking. His heart grew cautious, guarding himself secretly. Elder doctor, when did brother Lu Qing become so powerful? Next to the ox cart, Ma Guyo asked somewhat stutteringly. He had always known that Lu Qing was strong and should not be viewed as an ordinary muscle-bone realm practitioner. During their time in the Nameless Valley, he had once forced back an internal organ realm powerhouse with a single saber strike. But at that time, it was only because Lu Qing's saber technique was superior and caught him off guard. In a true battle, facing the burst of the internal organ realm, he still needed to dodge the main assault. In just this short period, he was already able to face a grandmaster of inner organs perfection head-on without losing. This terrifying rate of growth in strength was indeed frightening. I also do not know. The elder doctor shook his head. I have always not interfered with Ah Qing's cultivation, nor do I know when his strength reached such a level. As for Wei Ziyan and Mrs. Wei standing nearby, they were completely astounded. They could never have imagined that the usually gentle and mild Dr. Lu Xiao, when fighting, possessed such a terrifying aura. As everyone was shocked by this rare battle, Lu Qing's combat took another turn. Zhang! The two combatants' war sabers collided once again. However, this time, the already scarred war sabers could no longer withstand the power of the two, and both blades shattered. Only the handles, with a small segment of the blade attached, were left in their hands. Not good, Ma Guyo exclaimed, intending to throw his own long saber. But he saw Lu Qing and the Great Han tacitly throw aside the handles in their hands, and rush towards each other with bare fists. Let's go again. Just what I wanted. The two, invigorated by their fight, decided to have another go with just their fists and feet. Roar! This time, Lu Qing took the initiative. His steps mimicked the movements of a dragon and tiger, each step causing the solid ground beneath him to shake. His internal chi blood circulated vibrantly, sending out faint yet audible tiger roars from his body. In almost a blink of an eye, he appeared right in front of the Great Han and threw a punch. This punch entirely disturbed the surrounding airflow, creating howls and whistles. The air around the fist, under the extremely fast speed of the punch, didn't have time to disperse and was compressed layer upon layer, gathering into a highly explosive air mass, carrying immense power as it blasted towards the Great Han. Seeing such a fierce punch from Lu Qing, the Great Han's eyes twitched. He initially thought that once Lu Qing had no war saber, barehanded, he certainly wouldn't be his match. After all, he had cultivated for many years in the sect, and aside from his most proud saber technique, his boxing was also excellent. Comparing their skills, even the third disciple might not be able to beat him. Lu Qing, as a youth, even if he had unparalleled talent in the art of the saber, having prematurely comprehended a grandmaster-level saber technique realm, his boxing inevitably couldn't match his. But now, feeling the momentum of Lu Qing's punch, the Great Han knew he was wrong, and terribly so. Lu Qing's boxing was also far superior to his. Chapter 193. Shocking the entire arena. Boxing Grandmaster, Hidden Dragon List. _2. But by the time he realized it, it was already too late. In the blink of an eye, Lu Qing's fist reached him. Instinctively, the stout man felt that he couldn't retreat from this punch. If he did retreat, Lu Qing would take control of the initiative in an instant. Considering Lu Qing's boxing prowess and the overwhelming momentum he now possessed, once the initiative was seized by him, trying to take it back would be extremely difficult. He probably wouldn't stand a chance until his defeat. To not lose the initiative, his only option was to brace himself. In the blink of an eye, the stout man made his judgment. Lu Qing's strength was slightly inferior to his. As long as he could withstand his attack, there would be a chance to counterattack when Lu Qing's momentum declined. Determined in his heart, the stout man sank into a horse stance, stood his ground firmly, crossed his arms in front of him, and met Lu Qing's fist head-on. Boom! Under the watchful eyes of many martial artists, they saw Lu Qing's fist roar out continuously, striking the stout man's arms without any flourish. The tremendous force burst forth instantly, the explosive chi force directly distorting the surrounding air, causing the figures of both combatants to blur. Vaguely, the crowd saw the stout man involuntarily step back under the power of Lu Qing's fists, but his boxing stance remained intact, still firmly planted there. But it was far from over. Seeing the stout man step back, Lu Qing relentlessly followed up, stepping forward and tugging at the ground, causing his shoes to burst instantly and the ground below to twist and deform like squishy rice cake. Driven by the power from the ground and amid the roaring tiger cries, Lu Qing punched out at the stout man once more. The stout man had no escape and could only brace himself again. Boom! With that punch, as the chi force exploded, the stout man was forced to step back again. Lu Qing, undeterred, stepped forward and threw another punch. Boom, boom, boom. Thus, each time the stout man retreated, Lu Qing followed with a step and a punch. Finally, on the ninth punch, Lu Qing stood firm and ceased his attack. The stout man also stood still, maintaining his defensive posture. By this time, both Lu Qing and the stout man were steaming, surrounded by white mist. It was the steam of sweat evaporating from the intense operation of their powerful chi blood. The ground around them was in complete disarray, pocked and uneven, without any semblance of its former flatness. What boxing technique is that? Suddenly the stout man asked. Fierce Tiger Fist, Lu Qing replied. Fierce Tiger Fist, a fitting name. Its ferocity is like an unparalleled fierce tiger, truly worthy of being a grandmaster-level technique. To be defeated by a boxing technique grandmaster like you, I have no complaints. After speaking, the stout man could no longer suppress the blood mist and spat it out from his mouth, his body falling backward. Under Lu Qing's continuous barrage, his chi blood had long been scattered. His internal organs were severely injured, leaving him unable to fight. Lu Qing looked at the fallen stout man and walked away. It wasn't that he didn't want to deliver the finishing blow, but after the fierce struggle, his physical strength was nearly depleted. Moreover, the moment the stout man was defeated, he felt a faint killing intent wrapping around him. It was a warning from Wang Tsongi. He was certain that, if he dared to make a killing move on the stout man, Wang Tsongi would likely lash out at him without hesitation. By then, he wasn't sure if he could kill the stout man, but the situation would definitely spiral out of control. No one knew what an innate realm martial artist who lost his senses might do. Wish. Seeing the stout man collapse, Lu Qing turned and left. The martial artists watching the fight could no longer contain the shock in their hearts, and it erupted like a volcano. Am I dreaming? That youth actually defeated a martial arts grandmaster. Muscle Bone Realm defeating a cultivation-perfected martial artist of the internal organ realm? Can such a thing really happen? That youth's boxing is so powerful? The watching martial artists stared in disbelief at the scene before them, questioning whether they were dreaming. As for the disciples of the Heavens Tsang sect, they were completely disheartened, almost unable to believe their eyes. Our first senior brother lost? This youth. The Lord County Master on the city wall, watching Lu Qing's figure, wanted to say something, but his mouth quivered for a long time, still unable to find the words to express his shock. Even the cloth-clothed youth stood with his mouth slightly ajar, looking somewhat disconcerted. After a while, he let out a long breath. Truly a young hero. This youth is probably qualified to enter the Hidden Dragon list. What, Mr. Ji Rue? You think he can enter the Hidden Dragon list? The Lord County Master exclaimed in surprise. Why, you think he's not qualified? The cloth-clothed youth retorted. The Lord County Master glanced at the stout man lying on the ground and suddenly realized. Indeed, with the Muscle Bone Realm cultivation defeating a martial arts grandmaster of the internal organ realm perfection, if that's not enough to make it onto the Hidden Dragon list, that would be a joke. Hearing the conversation, Wang Tsangyi, who already had a gloomy expression, looked even more displeased. What now, Mr. Ji Rue? You intend to nominate this person for the Hidden Dragon list? Whether he can enter the Hidden Dragon list or not is not for me to decide, but I will report the process of this battle truthfully to the Tianji Building headquarters. Whether this youth is qualified for the Hidden Dragon list will be determined by them, said the cloth-clothed youth with a smile. Chapter 194. Shocking the entire arena, Boxing Grandmaster, Hidden Dragon List, _3. But when Wang Tsangyi heard these words, his expression grew even uglier. Waiting until the cloth-clothed youth reported the details of the battle to Tianji Tower, the whole world would know that his disciple had been defeated by an unknown Muscle Bone Realm youngster. What was more troublesome was that once the youngster climbed onto the Hidden Dragon list, many powerful major sects throughout the land would likely extend an olive branch. By then, it would be even harder for him to regain face. The killing intent in Wang Tsangyi's heart flared up once again. But glancing at the calm expression of the cloth-clothed youth, he ultimately suppressed the urge to kill. However, his desire for the Wei family's treasure grew even stronger in his heart. If he could get his hands on that treasure, he wouldn't need to fear the mighty Tianji Tower or suffer indignities once he made his breakthrough above the innate realm. Anything that dared to displease him could be killed. Not to mention a mere true disciple of the Tianji Tower, even the Tower Master himself could be crushed under his foot. Thinking this, Wang Tsangyi's resolve hardened once again. No matter the cost, he must seize the Wei family's treasure. Eldest senior brother. The disciples of the Great Han sect rushed to the muscular Great Han's side to check on his injuries. But the Great Han just tilted his head back, gazing at the sky above. He was wrong, thinking that if he could just withstand Lu Qing's assaults, he would find an opening to counterattack. But unexpectedly, Lu Qing's energy was so enduring. In the end, it was not Lu Qing who was drained, but himself whose secret technique reached its limit, and his chi blood was forcibly scattered. What sort of monster was this youth who, at the Muscle Bone Realm, had stamina even more astonishing than his own internal organ realm perfection? Eldest senior brother, are you all right? Don't scare us. A disciple of the Great Han sect, seeing the Great Han without a response, was nearly on the verge of tears. I'm all right, just help me back first. The Great Han suddenly spoke, his tone somewhat weak. Immediately, disciples came forward to help him up. Just as they returned to the city gate, a jade bottle fell in front of the Great Han. At the same time, a cold voice came from above. Useless thing. Take it. Master. Holding the jade bottle, the Great Han felt a flush of shame. As for the disciples of the Great Han sect standing beside him, they all shivered upon hearing the chill in the second elder's voice, not daring to utter a sound. Brother! Unlike the disheartened disciples of the Great Han sect, on the side with the ox cart, Lu Qing was greeted like a hero upon his return. Little Yen threw herself at Lu Qing the moment she saw him return. How was it? Isn't brother amazing? Lu Qing caught her and smiled. Amazing, very amazing. Brother is the most amazing. Little Yan's little head bobbed up and down like a pecking chick, her eyes filled with little stars. Dr. Lu Xiao, you are really incredible. Wei Zian also looked at Lu Qing with a face full of admiration. Brother Lu Qing, you actually defeated a martial arts grandmaster? Ma Gu's mouth trembled with excitement. Safe return is good. Safe return is so good. Mrs. Wei was visibly relieved and delighted. Ah Qing, are you hurt? The elder doctor asked. No, but my energy is almost depleted. From now on, I fear we will have to rely on Master. Lu Qing replied. No worries, take a rest. This old man might not be good at fighting, but I should still be able to protect you all. Perhaps stimulated by his disciples' earlier fight, the elder doctor unusually burst out with high spirits. Then it's all up to you, Master. Lu Qing nodded, took out a jade bottle, poured out a chi blood replenishing pill, swallowed it to restore his energy. Mr. Wang, what do you plan to do now? Are you still unwilling to give up? The cloth-clothed youth said calmly from atop the city wall. Give up? Ha. The word give up has never existed in my dictionary. Wang Tsongi laughed. Mr. Ji Rui, if you want me to give up, you might as well try convincing Wei Shanhai. As long as he is willing to hand over the item, I'll naturally leave. It seems Mr. Wang is adamant about not giving up. Why should I? My sect still has dozens of disciples here. That kid on the other side has exhausted his strength. All it would take is one command from me, and who could stand in the way? The cloth-clothed youth was at a loss for words. Indeed, this was what he feared. As long as Wang Tsongi could swallow his pride and order his disciples to attack Lu Qing and the others, the elder doctor would surely intervene. But that would give Wang Tsongi a reason to take action. This place was not within the city, and the restraint of prohibitions was greatly reduced. Even if Wang Tsongi provoked a fight at the innate level, as long as he didn't deliberately slaughter ordinary martial artists, even if it escalated to the Holy Mountain, they would have difficulty holding him accountable. After all, it is a world where the strong are revered. Even the Holy Mountain would not punish an innate realm for a minor issue. As the cloth-clothed youth anxiously pondered, suddenly, his expression changed, and he turned abruptly to look outside the city. Beside him, Wang Tsongi's face lit up with joy. Ha, Wei Shanhai, you dare to leave the city? Before his words ended, Wang Tsongi's figure had already vanished from the city gate. The next moment, a terrifying innate pressure descended from above onto the heads of all the martial artists. Chapter 195. The Elder Doctor's Tactics, Innate Domain. Not long ago, at a distance from the city gate on the city wall. At that very spot, two people were closely watching the activity at the city gate. They were Wei Shanhai and Wei Xinghe. Their location was particularly clever. Positioned perfectly at a corner, they not only avoided Wang Tsongi's line of sight, but also stayed just outside his innate sense. The sense between those in the innate realm has its limits. Beyond a certain distance, it can no longer be sensed. If one deliberately suppresses their presence, this distance can even be reduced to about 100 meters. Wei Shanhai, who grew up in Song County, knew the layout of the city like the back of his hand. Finding a spot that avoided Wang Tsongi's sight and sense, while allowing them to observe the city gate, was not difficult. So, while everyone questioned why the Wei family's people had not yet shown themselves, little did they know Wei Shanhai and Wei Xinghe had already arrived on the city wall and were hiding. Therefore, they also saw the battle between Lu Qing and the burly Great Han warrior. Shocked by the encounter, they also saw an opportunity. The burly Great Han was severely injured, temporarily weakening the forces of the Heavensong sect by one Grandmaster-level power. Now was the best time to retrieve Ning Yen and Xian. After discussing briefly, they took immediate action, charging from around the corner toward where the cart was located. However, as soon as they burst out, Wang Tsangi immediately discovered them. Overjoyed, he jumped down from atop the city gate, aiming his sword at Wei Shanhai. Xinghe! Quick! I can only hold him off for a moment. Sensing Wang Tsangi's full force, Wei Shanhai's expression changed, and with a gentle force, he pushed Wei Xinghe toward the direction of the carts. Immediately, his own aura burst forth skyward. Ha ha ha, Wang Tsangi, our century-long grudge must come to an end. Let me see what progress you have made over these 100+ years. Wei Shanhai watched as Wang Tsangi lunged down from above, burst into laughter, and suddenly produced a long blade in his hand, striking downward. A fiery red sword chi surged forth, splitting the sky as it flew toward Wang Tsangi. At the same time, he shouted with a powerful voice, "Silver Moon Guards, form up and charge." The sound echoed for miles, audible throughout the entire county. Housekeeper Wei, who was standing by in Wei Mansion, heard this and his expression turned solemn. Pointing forward with his spear, he ordered, "My sons, follow me in the charge." Yes. The gates of Wei Mansion opened, led by Housekeeper Wei. The Silver Moon Guards mounted their horses and charged out continuously, like a silver dragon, swiftly moving towards the city gate. In just over a few moments, they had arrived at the city gate. "Anyone who blocks me will die." As they arrived at the gate and saw some of the Heavensong sect's disciples still blocking it, Housekeeper Wei, his gaze menacing, connected his energy with that of the Silver Moon Guards behind him, and thrust forward vigorously with his spear. Gaining momentum from the charge, Housekeeper Wei had been accumulating energy continuously. Now, with his energy combined with the battle formation, the power behind this thrust reached its peak. Even a martial arts grandmaster at the perfection of the internal organ realm would struggle to withstand it. The blocking disciples of the Heavensong sect, the strongest being merely at the early stages of the internal organs realm, dared not face this fearsome charge head-on, tumbling and scrambling to clear away from the city gate. Those that were slow were casually struck by Housekeeper Wei, spewing blood and flying through the air with broken bones and crushed muscles, their fate unknown. And thus, in a flash, the vehement Housekeeper Wei and the group of Silver Moon Guards had already rushed out of the city gate to the outside. How did they break through so easily? The successful charge out of the city gate left Manager Wei mildly shocked. Having been on standby inside the mansion, he was unaware of the situation outside. But the resistance he expected had not manifested. The martial arts grandmaster he had previously faced didn't make a move either. This caused him to feel uneasy. Could it be a trap? Just as Manager Wei heightened his alertness, he suddenly felt a surge of energy ahead, accompanied by a strong oppressive force overwhelming him. Even the precious horse under him neighed in fright. He hurriedly looked ahead, only to see two figures engaged in battle. Red blade light and white sword chi intertwined, occasionally clashing. The leaked energy from their skirmishes was enough to make anyone's heart tremble. Ancestor! Manager Wei recognized the identities of those fighting and shouted in surprise. "Don't worry about me. First get Ning Yen and the others safely inside the city," Wei Shanhai called out. Yes. In that brief moment, Manager Wei had already spotted the location of Mrs. Wei and others. He immediately turned his horse and led the Silver Moon Guards toward the cart. At that time, at the cart, Mrs. Wei and Wei Xian were experiencing the joy of reunion. "Dad!" Seeing Wei Xinghe arrive, Wei Xian ran up to embrace him first. Mrs. Wei also looked tearfully at her husband. "Good, very good, you're both fine." Wei Xinghe's expression was also somewhat agitated, but he knew this was not the time for conversation. Hearing the approaching sound of horseshoes behind him, he bowed deeply to Lu Qing and the others. "Thank you for escorting my wife and child back safely. Please allow me to express my gratitude back at the mansion." Just as he finished speaking, Housekeeper Wei had already surrounded the cart with the Silver Moon guards, protecting it in the middle. Ma Gu immediately looked toward Lu Qing. Lu Qing, who had just finished reconstituting his energies, smiled and said, "Then, we shall respectfully comply, master. Let us enter the city." "Very well." The elder doctor nodded. Gently guiding the ox's head, he drove the cart towards the city gate. Young Master Lu. Ma Gu, Miss Little Yen. Chapter 196. The Elder Doctor's Tactics, Innate Domain. _2. At that moment, only then did Housekeeper Wei see that it was Lu Qing and Ma Gu next to the ox cart, and even Little Yen was on the cart. As for the old man driving the cart, although his face was obscured by a wide-brimmed hat, the only person Lu Qing would call master was that elder doctor. It was this group who had escorted Mrs. Wei and the young master back? What on earth was going on? For a moment, Housekeeper Wei's thoughts were thrown into disarray. If it weren't for the fact that he needed to maintain the operation of the Silver Moon battle formation, he would have felt compelled to clarify what exactly was happening. The elder doctor drove the ox cart toward the city gate, and to hasten their speed, he even infused a stream of innate true qi into the ox. With this boost, the ox suddenly moved as if it had taken a powerful tonic. Its steps widened, and it ran towards the city gate. Its pace was not slower than that of a normal galloping horse. However, when the group was halfway there, just as they were about to reach the city gate, suddenly, with a loud boom, a figure heavily landed in front of Lu Qing and the others. It was Wei Shanhai. "Ancestor!" Wei Xinghe and the others immediately exclaimed. Hadn't the ancestor said he could hold on for half an hour? How much time had passed? At this moment, Wei Shanhai was in a very sorry state. His hair was disheveled, his clothes torn, and his body bore several deep gashes visible to the bone. "Ha ha ha ha! Wei Shanhai, your injuries have clearly not healed. To suppress the sword qi I left in your heart meridian with true qi. How could you, with your current state where you can't exert even 30% of your strength, possibly be my opponent?" Wang Tsangyi, holding a long sword, walked steadily towards them. The terrifying innate pressure oppressed the hearts of all present. Yet he was unscathed. Not even his clothes were disheveled. "Humph! If you hadn't employed tricks and ambushed that day, how could you have been my opponent, you despicable scoundrel? It disgusts me to think I once addressed you as a brother, and to recall our past friendship makes me want to vomit." Although he was severely injured, Wei Shanhai's mouth showed no weakness as he sneered mockingly. "Don't flatter yourself, you never beat me once back in the day. Even if you were at your peak now, you still couldn't be my opponent. Moreover, as the saying goes, the victors be kings, the vanquished be bandits. Why wouldn't I use a more effortless method to defeat you?" Wang Tsangyi's expression remained calm, not incited by his former friend's words. "In the end, aren't you just afraid that I have taken control of that thing? That's why you only dared to ambush, and blame my blindness for still harboring illusions, thinking you remembered our old friendship. I never expected that you have never changed, always wearing that same hypocritical facade." Wei Shanhai spoke derisively. "Enough with the nonsense. Are you going to hand over that item or not?" Wang Tsangyi did not wish to continue bickering and demanded coldly. "Don't delude yourself. You will never obtain that item. I would rather die than give it to you. Since that is the case, I will kill you first, then slaughter your entire Wei family. I refuse to believe I won't find it." Wang Tsangyi's gaze turned ferocious, and with a lift of his hand, an incredibly sharp sword qi slashed towards Wei Shanhai. "With this sword, let's see how you dodge." Behind Wei Shanhai stood the entire Silver Moon battle formation and Mrs. Wei, among others. If he dodged, the sword qi would slash down the entire formation. The potential casualties and injuries could be countless. Realizing all of this, Wei Shanhai grimly smiled, knowing he had no other choice. He forcefully gathered his qi and conjured a red blade light. But he knew that just this blade light couldn't block the full force of Wang Tsangyi's sword qi. With the mental method in motion, the true qi that had been suppressing the sword qi in his heart meridian also surged, about to be channeled entirely into the blade light. Doing so, however, caused the sword chi within him to become restless, threatening to completely destroy his heart meridian. Absolutely not. Just then, a hand appeared on Wei Shanhai's back. A gentle stream of chi entered his body, soothing the restless sword chi in his heart meridian. Simultaneously, mist filled the air, and a transparent, spinning vortex of water appeared in front of Wei Shanhai, moving to meet the white sword chi. The previously fierce white sword chi, upon encountering the flow of water, became utterly trapped like a fish entering a river, unable to break free. Eventually, it was unable to withstand the rotating streams of water, breaking apart and dissipating. This sudden turn of events shocked everyone. Even Wang Tsangi couldn't help but have his pupils suddenly constrict. Elder Doctor? When they saw clearly who had intervened, Mrs. Wei and the others exclaimed in shock. The elder doctor, who had previously been sitting at the front of the ox cart, had vanished and now appeared behind Wei Shanhai. One hand was pressed against Wei Shanhai's back, and the other formed a sword point directly forward. The stream of water that had just been there was his doing. Elder, your heart meridian is injured. You cannot recklessly mobilize your true chi, or else the injury will erupt, and your heart meridian will not withstand it. After stabilizing the injury within Wei Shanhai that was close to erupting, the elder doctor loosened his hand from his back and said gently, "Thank you for your intervention." Wei Shanhai looked at the elder doctor somewhat blankly and took several breaths to come to his senses before hastening to express his gratitude. Yet the shock in his heart was indescribable. Not only was it because Wang Tsangi's full-force sword chi had just been so easily resolved by the elder doctor. It was even more because the restlessness within him, the sword wound that was about to fully erupt, had also been suppressed lightly by the elder doctor and restored to calm. One hand saved a person, the other countered an enemy. The elder standing before them had, in that instant, displayed such a breadth of skill and dignity. It was enough to make Wei Shanhai feel an immensely reverential awe. However, as per his perception, this elder's cultivation should be noticeably weaker than his own. Suddenly, in Wei Shanhai's eyes, the elder doctor donned a layer of mystery, becoming unfathomably profound. Sharing this feeling was Wang Tsangi. At this moment, Wang Tsangi was equally shocked. He hadn't expected that his nearly full-force sword chi would be dissolved by someone whose cultivation was clearly weaker than his own, and seeing that it appeared to be effortless for the other party. In an instant, Wang Tsangi's wariness toward the elder doctor shot up. "Have you resolved to make an enemy of me?" Wang Tsangi looked at the elder doctor with a dark expression and said solemnly, "I, the old man, have no intention of making enemies. I only hope you can turn a blind eye and not needlessly create slaughter," said the elder doctor with a sincere tone. "My grudge with the Wei family is impossible to resolve. Old man, if you don't step aside, then you are my enemy, Wang Tsangi, and I will cut you down along with them." At this juncture, how could Wang Tsangi possibly listen to such words? Seeing that the elder doctor insisted on intervening, his heart filled with even greater malice. His gaze became stern. Innate true chi quickly circulated within him, and his aura surged once more, pressing down so much that everyone in front of him felt suffocated. Under that terrifying pressure, Wang Tsangi swung his sword, and prodigious sword chi burst forth, sweeping over toward the elder doctor and Wei Shanhai. This time, Wang Tsangi was genuinely holding nothing back, exerting his full power, hoping to crush the mysterious innate realm in one fell swoop. Faced with the tumultuous surge of innate sword energy, the elder doctor looked solemn, his fingers forming a sword, slowly thrusting forward. As he made this sword thrust, heaven and earth primordial chi around him instantly surged, coalescing, with mist filling the air and countless droplets materializing out of nothingness. "Freeze!" With a light shout from the elder doctor, the entire space seemed to solidify. The numerous water droplets, along with the sword chi filling the sky, all froze in midair, unable to move. "Break!" After freezing all the sword chi, the elder doctor shouted again, and those countless water droplets instantly transformed into sword shapes, flying toward the pervasive sword chi. Each droplet corresponded to a strand of sword chi, the number exact, the power not too strong nor too weak, just enough to neutralize the sword chi and dissolve each other. Once all the sword chi vanished and the mist dispersed, the sky cleared, and everything returned to calm, as if everything that had just happened was but an illusion, never having occurred at all. But anyone knew that what they had just witnessed was certainly no illusion. That terrifying innate pressure still shook everyone's heart and spirit. Everyone was utterly astonished by the elder doctor's awe-inspiring abilities. Wang Tsangi, in particular, revealed an expression of disbelief. Muttering to himself, "Innate domain, turning the intangible into the tangible. How is this possible?" Chapter 197. Shocking retreat, entering the city, the Ma family's ecstatic joy. Wei Shanhai was equally shaken by this scene. The elder doctor's method of freezing the sword chi just now bore some resemblance to the legendary innate domain. However, the innate domain is usually a mystical realm only accessible to top experts who have achieved great success in the innate realm. And the power of the elder doctor's display seemed to be much weaker. Rumor has it that a true innate domain, once opened, can almost control everything within it. If that were the case, eradicating Wang Tsangi's sword chi would have been a mere thought. There would have been no need to first freeze it and then gradually wear it down. But no matter what, the elder doctor's technique just now was still not something an initial innate realm should possess. Therefore, both the two innate realm experts and the cloth-clothed youth on the city wall were completely shocked. As for the other martial artists, they were already dumbfounded. They had never seen such incredible methods before. This had surpassed their understanding of martial arts. Master's martial arts talent is truly astonishingly brilliant. Lu Qing, seeing his master's move counteract Wang Tsangi's full-powered killing move, nodded to himself. Among all the martial artists, probably only he was not too surprised by this scene. Because he, who possessed superpower, had long known that his master had grasped a trace of the domain realm's meaning. After all, the cultivation technique his master practiced was left by Li Weitian, who had attained innate perfection. The cultivation technique valued by such an unparalleled expert was surely not that simple. However, Lu Qing had not yet reached the innate realm and was unsure whether a trace of the domain realm could contend with Wang Tsangi, who had immersed himself in cultivation for many years in the innate realm. Now it seemed that a domain was a domain. Even the mere power of a trace of its meaning was too much for an ordinary initial innate realm to handle. "Do you still wish to fight?" The elder doctor, having broken Wang Tsangi's innate sword energy, silently breathed a sigh of relief, feeling somewhat more assured. "Who on earth are you, old sir?" Wang Tsangi, looking at the elder doctor, could not help but feel a sense of fear taking hold, and his address became more respectful. Being able to comprehend the domain realm at the initial innate realm, he surely wasn't an ordinary innate realm expert. Only the most top-notch powers could possibly harbor such an anomaly. Thinking he might have offended such a power, Wang Tsangi's heart started trembling. Though strong, the power of the Heaven Tsang sect was nothing compared to the true giants of the world. They were no match against ancient inheritances with long-standing, profound legacies. Who this old man is not important. I am here only in the hopes that you would be magnanimous and not commit unnecessary killing. Wang Tsangi's expression turned uncertain. He had invested so much effort to corner the Wei family into a desperate situation and had even lost 3 of his direct disciples. How could he willingly give up now? But seeing the calm and composed elder doctor and Wei Shanhai's menacing watchfulness, Wang Tsangi knew that even if he was unwilling, he had to accept reality. He no longer had the power to doom the Wei family. If the fight continued, even he might not make it out. At this moment, Wang Tsangi began to regret. When he first came to Tsang County, an elder of his sect had hinted at the desire to collaborate with him. Out of greed for the treasure and believing he could control the situation, he had refused the elder. If at that point he had agreed to cooperate with the elder, the Wei family would have already fallen into his hands, and there would have been no such twists and turns. But regretting now was useless. "Fine, I'll give you this respect, old sir, and spare the Wei family this time. Xiong'er, let's go." But Wang Tsangyi was extraordinary after all. Being an innate realm martial artist who had lived for over 100 years, he still had the necessary decisiveness. Since it was futile to persist, and continuing might offend some mysterious and formidable power, he might as well give the elder doctor this respect. After giving Wei Shanhai a deep look, Wang Tsangyi sheathed his long sword and turned to leave. The towering Great Han left without a word, and the remaining disciples of the Heaven Song sect quickly followed. Those villains, they just leave like that? Watching the retreating figures of the Heaven Song sect, Wei Xian's incredulous voice arose, breaking the silence. Silly child. Wang Tsangyi couldn't beat this innate realm grandmaster. What other choice does he have but to leave? Wei Xinghe laughed and said. At the same time, he finally felt a sense of relief in his heart. Previously, facing the terrifying sword chi of Wang Tsangyi, he had thought they were all doomed to fall right then and there. Many thanks to our benefactor for saving the Wei family from a life and death crisis. This grace and virtue shall never be forgotten by all members of my family. At this moment, Wei Shanhai suddenly bowed deeply to the elder doctor, performing an extremely solemn courtesy. Thank you, benefactor, for saving our lives. Wei Xinghe, housekeeper Wei, as well as the Silver Moon Guards all solemnly gave their thanks to the elder doctor. There's no need for this. I, as an old man, merely followed my heart and did what needed to be done, the elder doctor said, waving his hand. Nor was he overly surprised. Having practiced medicine for many years and receiving countless thanks, he no longer found such expressions of gratitude unusual. My lord, my ancestor, there are many people here. Shall we return to the mansion first? Mrs. Wei reminded. She knew that the main purpose of the elder doctor's visit was to treat the injuries of the ancestor, something that was not suitable to mention in this place. Yes, I have been neglectful, Wei Shanhai realized and quickly said. I invite our benefactor and his companions to our mansion so that I may show our hospitality and express our gratitude. The elder doctor and his companions naturally did not refuse, and the group began to make their way into the city. At this time, near the city gate, many martial artists still lingered, all notable figures from various powers within the city. But seeing the people of the Wei family, they all stepped aside, none daring to object. The forces of Heaven Song sect had departed, and the Wei family had once again become the most transcendent power in the county. No one lacked the insight to recognize that. Yet, as they made way, everyone's gaze lingered on the elder doctor and Lu Qing, committing their appearances to memory. It was clear to all that the Wei family's narrow escape from disaster was all thanks to the intervention of the elder doctor. No one could help but be extremely curious about such a mysterious and powerful innate realm expert. Unfortunately, the elder doctor had worn a broad-brimmed hat throughout the event, making it impossible for others to glimpse his true appearance. Therefore, everyone turned their attention to Lu Qing. After all, it was equally incredible for Lu Qing, with his muscle-bone realm cultivation, to defeat a martial arts grandmaster who had achieved inner organs perfection. But as they watched, some people noticed something amiss. After the Wei family entered the city, a martial artist nudged the person next to him. Clan leader Ma, the young man who seemed overwhelmingly powerful, standing next to Lu Qing just now. Didn't he look like your Ma Gu? I don't know either. The one nudged was a lean figure with a goatee. He too felt bemused at the moment. I'm sure it's him. I watched the kid grow up, although he hasn't been back to town much in recent years. Could I possibly mistake him? Another martial artist, evidently on good terms with the Ma family, confidently said. Clan leader Ma, congratulations. Ma Gu seems to know that mysterious innate realm individual, and he has returned with the mistress and young master of the Wei family. Your Ma family is probably going to prosper, envious martial artists commented. This has not been confirmed yet. I will go back to check. After dealing with a few familiar faces from other families, clan leader Ma felt somewhat dizzy as he rushed home. Although he said he was uncertain, how could he not recognize Ma Gu? Just shortly ago, he had personally sent him to escort goods to the state mansion. However, after the escort mission, Ma Gu had not returned to the city, citing through messengers that the city was too chaotic, and he needed to stay in the gathering areas to avoid trouble. Unexpectedly, in silence, he had accomplished such a significant feat. Thinking of this, clan leader Ma couldn't help but get excited. He suddenly felt that the opportunity for the rise of the Ma family might be coming. Ji Rue, do you know who that innate realm individual in the hat is? On top of the city wall, Lord County Master watched the Wei family figures, asking with a grave expression. I know. The cloth-clothed youth nodded. Who is he? The county lord asked hurriedly. You'll find out who he is later, but I can tell you that this innate realm person is someone you know. Someone I know? The county lord's eyes immediately widened in astonishment. However, the cloth-clothed youth was no longer paying attention to his friend's shock. His gaze followed the elder doctor's silhouette, shock still evident in the depths of his eyes. Innate domain. I never expected that a martial artist at the initial innate realm could touch such a realm of consciousness. Is this the power of merit? Chapter 198. Entering the residence, treating the wound. The ox cart arrived at the Wei mansion, majestically escorted by the many silver moon guards. Mother, come down. Wei Zian stepped forward and helped his mother off the cart. Mother and son looked at the grand entrance of the Wei mansion, feeling as if they were in a different world. Their life on the run had made them endure so much. More than once, they had brushed with death's cold embrace. Now, to return home safely was filled with emotion and relief. An heir, come. Mrs. Wei, with Wei Zian in tow, knelt before Ma Gu and Lu Qing. We thank Master Ma and young Master Lu for risking their lives to save us, allowing us and our son to return home. Mrs. Wei bowed deeply, and Wei Zian, without a word, began to kowtow loudly. There is no need for this. Lu Qing and Ma Gu quickly stepped forward to assist them. Off to the side, Wei Xinghe and housekeeper Wei felt a stir in their hearts. They realized that the reason the mother and son had been safe these days was because of the protection from Lu Qing and others. Thank you, young master, for saving the lives of my wife and child. Wei Xinghe also stepped forward and deeply bowed to Lu Qing. Father and master, if it weren't for master's protection in the first few days, mother and I would never have seen you again. Wei Zian reminded his father, worried that his master might be displeased since his father only thanked Lu Qing. Master! Wei Xinghe was somewhat astonished. Indeed, while hiding in the mountains from those villains, I asked an heir to take Master Ma as his teacher. From the day we escaped through the secret passage in the city, it was Master Ma who stood up and led me and an heir to flee, allowing us the luck to live. Mrs. Wei nodded in affirmation. Hearing these words, Wei Xinghe without doubt bowed again to Ma Gu. Thank you, Master Ma, for risking your life to rescue us. Ma Gu, seeing the Wei family patriarch bestowing such a grand gesture, felt somewhat overwhelmed. He waved his hands repeatedly. There's no need, really. I was just entrusted by those Silver Moon Guard sirs. In fact, I didn't do much. It was those Silver Moon Guards who laid down their lives that gave us a chance to escape. Master, have Guard Pang and the others returned? Mrs. Wei asked a question that had been haunting her. Not yet. Wei Xinghe shook his head. Mrs. Wei's expression darkened, knowing that the small squad of Silver Moon Guards had most likely met a grim fate. Master, that Guard Pang and others were integral to me and an heir's safe return. Please take care of their families, Mrs. Wei earnestly requested. Of course. This time the mansion suffered a calamity. Each guard and servant that did not abandon the mansion will receive generous rewards, Wei Xinghe stated solemnly. His words were meant not only for his wife but also for all the Silver Moon Guards present. As expected, upon hearing the family head's promise, the surrounding Silver Moon Guards, though still tense, showed a flash of joy in their eyes. That's enough, let's go inside first. It's rude to have our esteemed guests wait out here, said Wei Shanhai at this moment. Mrs. Wei stepped forward, taking little Yan's little hand. Little Yan, would you come inside with your auntie? Little Yan, already very curious about the Grand Wei mansion gates, glanced at her brother for permission, and with his nod, she immediately agreed. Okay. Lu Qing handed the ox cart's reins to a servant of the Wei mansion. Elder, this ox has carried us all the way to the county, exerting a great effort. Please take good care of it. Of course, the old servant replied promptly. Our mansion has the finest fodder, please rest assured, young master. Once inside the mansion, and after all the common folk had left the courtyard designated for esteemed guests, old Dr. Chun finally took off his hat. Old Dr. Chun, it really is you, Housekeeper Wei exclaimed delightedly. Grand Steward, it's been a long time since our last encounter, the elder doctor said with a smile. Family head, esteemed elder, this is old Dr. Chun who previously treated the young master's injuries, and this is Lu Qing, his disciple, whom I have mentioned to you before. Housekeeper Wei saw the puzzled look on the family head's face and therefore explained. It was then that Wei Xinghe realized that these two had such a connection with their household. Yet his heart was even more astonished. According to previous information, Elder Doctor should have been an internal organ realm martial artist, and Lu Qing merely a gifted youth of the muscle bone realm. But the ones standing before them now were a powerful master of the innate realm, who made Wang Tsangyi retreat with difficulty, and another, a genius who defeated a martial arts grandmaster at the perfection of the internal organ realm with merely the strength of the muscle bone realm. The gap was simply too vast. So, it is Elder Dr. Chun and his distinguished disciple. This makes the debt of gratitude the Wei family owes you even greater. Wei Xinghe suppressed the tremor in his heart and thanked them once more. We were merely fulfilling our duty as doctors. There is no need for the Wei family master to dwell upon it, the elder doctor replied, shaking his head. After more pleasantries, Mrs. Wei finally found the right moment to speak. Esteemed elder, Elder Doctor's main purpose in coming to the county this time is actually to see if he can treat the sword injury near your heart. How are you feeling now? How did you know about the sword injury near my heart? Wei Shanhai was startled. The sword qi injury near his heart wasn't healed yet, and not even an internal organ realm martial artist could detect it. Only Wei Xinghe and Housekeeper Wei in the household were informed. How did old doctor and the others from the rural Jili village come to know about it? It was Mr. Ji Rui who informed us, Elder Doctor explained. Mr. Ji Rui came to Jili village a few days ago, and it was from him that I learned of the lingering injury of Elder Wei. Chapter 199. Entering the mansion, treating the wound _2. Mr. Ji Rui was secretly assisting us all along. Wei Shanhai suddenly realized. If it was that person, it would make sense that he could discern his injuries. After all, those who come from Tianji Building are always mysteriously exceptional, possessing unique abilities that ordinary martial artists do not have. Mr. Wei, I do have some accomplishments in the field of medical skills. May I ask if you are willing to be treated for your injuries? Willing, of course, willing. It's exactly what I've been seeking. Wei Shanhai's face showed joy. He was just worrying about his injuries. If the sword qi within his body wasn't removed, he would have at most 1 year to live. As an innate realm practitioner, he theoretically had a lifespan of 300 years. Having lived just over 100 years, he certainly did not want to die so soon. However, his injury was in the heart meridian, and to remove the sword qi, another completely trustworthy innate realm practitioner would be needed to assist. But in the remote Song County, where could he find a trustworthy innate realm practitioner in a short time? Wei Shanhai had thought that all hope was lost, but suddenly, there was light at the end of the tunnel, and hope rekindled. He certainly trusted the elder doctor. Not to mention that he was a famous doctor in Song County, known for his medical benevolence, but also because he had valiantly fought off Wang Tsangyi to protect the Wei family at a critical moment, was enough to earn Wei Shanhai's complete trust. The elder doctor was a practitioner serious about treating illnesses. Since it was about healing, the sooner the better. Therefore, seeing that Wei Shanhai agreed, he immediately proposed to treat his injuries. Initially, Wei Shanhai wanted to be polite since the elder doctor and his company were honored guests. It seemed too impolite to ask for treatment immediately upon their arrival, before they even had a meal. But seeing the elder doctor insist, and wanting to recover as soon as possible, He nodded in agreement. In the end, they chose a quiet room to prepare for the treatment of Wei Shanhai. Little Yen, how about Auntie takes you to eat something delicious? Seeing that everyone was about to get busy, Mrs. Wei gently asked while holding Little Yan's hand. Upon hearing this, Little Yan's eyes immediately lit up, looking towards her brother. Lu Qing was just about to go to the quiet room to help his master, and upon seeing this, he hesitated for a moment before nodding. You may, but you must not be naughty and trouble Mrs. Wei. Of course not, Little Yen is being good. How could she possibly cause any trouble, right Little Yen? Mrs. Wei quickly said. Brother, Little Yen will be very good. The little one nodded vigorously. And also, bring Little Li along. Lu Qing took out a small black figure from the bamboo basket behind him and placed it in Little Yan's arms. It was Little Li, who had been hiding in the basket. Because the innate realm practitioners can easily see through Little Li's invisibility talent. This time, Lu Qing specially asked Little Li not to use invisibility, but to hide in the tightly woven bamboo basket. Innate realm practitioners have strong sensing abilities, but they are not yet able to see through objects. Hidden in the basket, Little Li was less likely to be noticed. Little Li. Little Yen held Little Li, her face full of joy. Because Little Li had to hide its form these past few days, she hadn't been able to play with it. Now seeing it again, the little fellow was extremely happy. Ow! Little Li affectionately rubbed against Little Yan's face. Who is this? Mrs. Wei was surprised upon seeing Little Li. Beside her, Wei Xian's eyes were wide with astonishment. It's called Little Li, Little Yan's playmate, Mrs. Wei. When you take Little Yan for food, please prepare some for it too. This little one likes to eat fish. Fresh live fish will do. Lu Qing smiled. Little Li. Mrs. Wei seemed thoughtful. She suddenly recalled the words Lu Qing had spoken when he went to confront that formidable evil person across the field. The way she looked at Little Li all of a sudden became a bit different. Clearly, the words Lu Qing spoke indicated that this black little beast was not as harmless as it appeared. Ma Gu, observing Little Li in Little Yan's arms, revealed an incredulous expression. He had always imagined the mysterious creature by Lu Qing's side to be something quite terrifying. Now seeing Little Li's true appearance, it was hard to associate it with the terrifying creature that easily tore people's hearts out. How peculiar this little beast is. Wei Shanhai watched Mrs. Wei taking Little Yen towards the backyard, expressing his admiration. Being in the innate realm, he keenly sensed the strange aura on Little Li. Indeed, somewhat strange. This is a little beast that Qing unintentionally adopted in the mountains some days ago. Quite spiritual, the elder doctor said with a smile. Your disciple indeed has deep fortune. Even the little beast he keeps is so mystical. The group casually chatted, quickly arriving in the quiet room. Lu Qing, serving as his master's assistant, naturally stayed, and Wei Xinghe, as the family head, also stayed to see if there was any help he could offer. Thus, only the four of them remained in the quiet room. Mr. Wei, I need to first check the sword wound in your heart meridian to see how severe it is. After sitting down cross-legged, the elder doctor spoke. Do not worry, just go ahead and check. Wei Shanhai calmly withdrew all his defensive true qi. The elder doctor nodded slightly, placing his hand on Wei Shanhai's chest. A strand of gentle water, a tribute innate true qi, secretly seeped into his body. This step was very dangerous. Now that Wei Shanhai had completely lowered his defenses, if the elder doctor harbored any malicious intent, he could easily destroy his entire heart meridian in an instant. If it were not for the elder doctor, Wei Shanhai would never dare to gamble with his life so carelessly. While the elder doctor was diagnosing Wei Shanhai, Lu Qing also activated his superpower, constantly monitoring Wei Shanhai's condition. He saw a faint golden light emanating from Wei Shanhai. Wei Shanhai, ancestor of the Wei family, straightforward and magnanimous. Not particular about trifles, holds strong affection for the family. Cultivation, peak of the initial innate realm, fire attribute innate true qi. Carries several secret techniques, especially skilled in saber technique. Once comprehended the silver moon battle formation from a treasure, revitalizing the family. In his youth, he traveled with Wang Tsangyi as companions, considered each other confidants. Later, due to incompatible temperaments and unevenly divided treasures, they turned into sworn enemies. Once ambushed by Wang Tsangyi, struck in the heart meridian by innate sword energy, the injury was difficult to heal. Lu Qing looked at the information emerging around Wei Shanhai and nodded inwardly. The cloth-clothed youth hadn't lied. Wei Shanhai's heart meridian was indeed difficult to heal. The elder doctor did not take long to diagnose Wei Shanhai's injuries. Soon, he withdrew his true qi. "Elder doctor, how is it? Can my injury be cured?" Wei Shanhai asked. Beside him, Wei Xinghe also looked concerned. The elder doctor pondered for a moment and said, "The treatment is not difficult, but the process might be somewhat painful. You will need to endure." "Ha ha! Wei has lived for over 100 years and has seen everything. I wouldn't even frown at swords and knives on my body. Just go ahead with the treatment. Doctor, I can bear the pain regardless." Wei Shanhai said with joy, bursting into laughter. "If that is so, then this old man won't play coy," the elder doctor said earnestly. "Ah Qing, you handle the acupuncture. I need to protect Mr. Wei's heart meridian with true qi and cannot spare my hands. Mr. Wei, please remove your shirt." "Yes, master." As Lu Qing took out the needle kit, Wei Shanhai also took off his shirt, revealing a fearsome sword scar on his heart. Wei Xinghe's eyes widened slightly. He knew that his ancestor's heart meridian was injured, but he didn't realize the injury was so severe. Looking at the sword scar, his ancestor had truly been hanging by a thread at that time. It was unknown what pain he had gone through to escape from Wang Tsangyi's hands. Involuntarily, Wei Xinghe's resentment towards Wang Tsangyi and others deepened. "Ah Qing," I said, "start the acupuncture." The elder doctor, hand pressed against Wei Shanhai's chest, said solemnly. "Understood." Lu Qing responded in a grave tone. "Shinmen, Neguan, Tanzhong." As the elder doctor recited the acupoints, Lu Qing's hand followed, inserting the silver needles without any mistakes. As the silver needles were inserted, Wei Shanhai also felt the sword qi in his heart meridian begin to stir, being forcibly gathered by the blockade of the needles, causing some discomfort to his heart meridian. However, just then, a soft and cool true qi protected his heart meridian, giving him an immediate sense of relief. When Lu Qing inserted the last silver needle, the sword qi originally merged into the heart meridian was completely forced out, converging into a mass. But when gathered into a mass, the innate sword energy was also at its most powerful, almost bursting Wei Shanhai's heart meridian. It was then that the continuously protecting soft true qi suddenly surged into the heart meridian, becoming extremely viscous. It completely enveloped that mass of innate true qi and forcefully yanked it out. Wei Shanhai first felt a pain in his chest, followed by an immense relief. Chapter 200 Sword Qi Dissipates, the Banquet. When the elder doctor extracted the sword qi from Wei Shanhai's meridians, Lu Qing and Wei Xinghe also witnessed a peculiar scene. They saw at the elder doctor's fingertips a cluster of white sword qi, fine like cow hair, trapped within an invisible barrier, thrashing around without the ability to escape. Shortly after, it was quickly dissipated by the elder doctor using his true qi and vanished into thin air. "All is well now," the elder doctor said after erasing the sword qi. "Mr. Wei, the sword qi in your heart meridian has been completely purged." "That's it." Wei Shanhai was stunned. He had braced himself for the pain the elder doctor mentioned would come with the treatment. Just like this, Wei Shanhai swiftly circulated his true qi and found that it flowed unobstructed everywhere it went. His heart meridian, in particular, felt extremely smooth and free of any foreign true qi, which made him very happy. The elder doctor's medical expertise is truly remarkable. "I am most impressed," Wei Shanhai exclaimed with both surprise and joy, having thought that his sword injury, which had been torturing him for so long and seemed to be sapping all his energy, was so easily healed. "The innate realm swordsman who injured you is indeed highly skilled in swordsmanship. His sword qi is insidiously soft and difficult to deal with, capable of drawing on your body's life force to sustain and strengthen itself, merging with the qi of your heart meridian. But in the end, it is still an unrooted source. By simply utilizing the technique of sealing acupoints with silver needles to temporarily cut off the qi flow in your heart meridian and reveal its true form, removal becomes no great difficulty, the elder doctor explained. Wei Shanhai thought of Wang Zhangyi's swordsmanship and nodded in agreement. Although he deeply despised this former friend, he had to admit that the man's mastery of swordsmanship had reached a state where it was like a soft breeze turning into nourishing rain, the sword qi as soft as it wound around fingers. Then, elder doctor, does that mean the old ancestor's injuries are fully healed now? Asked Wei Xinghe. The sword qi is gone, and the heart meridian is unobstructed. As for the other external injuries, they are straightforward to deal with. Next, we'll apply antiseptic medicine. I'll prescribe a few medicines, and with timely consumption and rest, it won't be long before Mr. Wei is completely recovered, the elder doctor said, stroking his beard. This is wonderful news, thank you, elder doctor, Wei Xinghe said joyfully. Healing the sick is our duty as doctors. There's no need for the Wei family master to be so formal. After chatting for a while, they all left the quiet room together. Outside, housekeeper Wei was already waiting. Seeing the group emerge with the old ancestor looking significantly better, he knew the healing must have gone smoothly. With happiness in his heart, he promptly approached them and respectfully said, "Family head, old ancestor, the banquet is ready." Wei Shanhai nodded, then turned and said, "Elder doctor, you all have traveled a long distance and must be tired. We have prepared some food and drink in the mansion to welcome and refresh you. I hope you will not decline our hospitality." "That would be pleasant," the elder doctor nodded in assent. As they approached the banquet area of Wei Mansion, they saw Mrs. Wei and little Yen also arriving just in time. "Brother, Grandpa Chen," little Yen, holding little Li, excitedly called out upon seeing Lu Qing and the elder doctor. Have you been causing any trouble for Mrs. Wei?" Lu Qing ruffled her hair a bit. Not at all, not at all," Mrs. Wei quickly responded. "Little Yen has been very well behaved. I just took her for some snacks." "Yes, brother. Little Yen just had some really delicious treats, and little Li ate lots of fish too," the little one boasted. "I can see that," Lu Qing said, looking at little Li, who, with a belly fed to roundness, was nestled in little Yan's arms, squinting and reluctant to move. He shook his head somewhat helplessly. However, the little kid had barely eaten anything these last 2 days to maintain his hidden identity. It had indeed been a sacrifice, so letting him eat a bit more was no issue. Upon entering the room, everyone took their seats, and the servants began to serve the dishes. Little Yen witnessed what was called the lavish lifestyle of a prestigious family. Despite there being only 7 or 8 people at the banquet, there were dozens of dishes served, each with a unique style. Many ingredients were unfamiliar to him. Dr. Chun, young Master Lu, Teacher Ma, this time, thanks to your righteous assistance, our Wei family was spared from annihilation. The heaven and earth can attest to this kindness. "This cup is my tribute to you all," said Wei Shanhai, raising his glass after the dishes and drinks were ready. After the toast, everyone began to eat. Lu Qing was fond of food and became excited seeing many dishes on the table he hadn't encountered before. After serving some to little Yen, he began to taste each dish one by one. After trying a few, he marveled that it was worthy of a wealthy household. Each dish was delicious and he was quite satisfied. As Lu Qing was enjoying his food, he suddenly heard Wei Ziyan mumbling beside him. "Mother, why do I feel that the food at home isn't as delicious as what young Master Lu prepared?" "Don't talk nonsense. Be careful, or your father will scold you," Mrs. Wei warned him quietly. Even she felt that the meals at home didn't taste as good as what Lu Qing had made the previous day. Wei Ziyan thought he had spoken softly, but he hadn't considered that those at the table were no ordinary people and had already heard his muttering. "Oh, young Master Lu can cook too? And from the looks of it, it must be quite delicious, as Ziyan and Ning Yen can't seem to forget it," Wei Shanhai teased. This caused Mrs. Wei to blush uncontrollably. It's nothing. I just used to run the household, so I know how to cook some home-style dishes. It's not sophisticated enough for a grand feast. They've never had my cooking, so naturally it seemed novel, Lu Qing said with a smile. The group chatted and ate in a harmonious atmosphere. Even Ma Gu wasn't ignored. Wei Xinghe toasted to him several times and solemnly promised to prepare a grand ceremony for Wei Zian to formally take him as a teacher soon, which took Ma Gu by surprise. After 3 rounds of drinks, when everyone had almost finished eating, Wei Shanhai said, Dr. Chen, as you know, Wang Tsangi came with his disciples and aggressively attacked our Wei mansion. You must be aware of his reasons, right? The elder doctor was startled and didn't understand why Wei Shanhai would suddenly bring this up. Still, he honestly replied, I've heard some rumors that he came for a treasure. That wasn't a secret. Wang Tsangi's lead disciple had made his intentions towards the Wei family quite clear that day, and everyone in the city had heard him. Indeed, he came for our Wei family's treasure. I won't lie. When I was younger, I misjudged people and once called Wang Tsangi my brother, roaming the martial world with him for a while. That treasure was something we obtained from a remarkable place during our adventures. Later, we had a dispute, divided the treasure, and each went our separate ways, breaking our brotherhood. Dr. Chen was unaware of such a history and could only say, That's quite regrettable. There's nothing to regret, Wei Shanhai replied with equanimity. With such a despicable and shameless person, I only regret not seeing his true colors earlier and cutting ties sooner. Otherwise, I wouldn't have brought this disaster upon my family and nearly destroyed our entire lineage. Dr. Chen remained silent, not joining the conversation. He was unclear about the specific history of the matter and couldn't make any judgments. Heh, Dr. Chen, I'm not telling you this to judge right from wrong. Wei Shanhai perceived the thoughts of the elder doctor and chuckled. I simply wish to invite you to observe the treasure after the banquet. Hearing this, Dr. Chen was suddenly taken aback.